3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the podcast that buffs your Hearthstone game. This is Velen's Chosen.
Not all who wander are lost.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Velen's Chosen. No high-speed intros this week, but I can sure try. So buckle up, here we go. Greetings, Visionaries. Welcome to Velen's Chosen. Whether you're a competitive player, an arena specialist, a deck-building visionary, just like having a bit of fun, we can help you buff your game and achieve your Hearthstone goals. My name is Rob Maya, coming in from Japan, and...
Time. Sorry.
Wow,
I need everybody in the chat and everybody listening at home, please, to reach your left hand or right hand, depending on which is dominant, and reach your forehead and hit strongly until you hear the clapping sound of a facepalm. Thank you, Grant.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the Twitch stream and I was thinking to myself, dang, when's Rob gonna start? And I was thinking about something else, but I was typing something else and I realized, back to Discord, wrong app.
line, please.
I am a nerd, or a newbie is what I'm trying to say.
Well, the voice you are hearing is Grant. If you're a new person here, Grant, aka Watchman HS on Twitter. What's up, Grant?
How to do, folks? Just oh boy, it's been a long week. Good Easter week's a good week for me, usually. But had a lot of stuff to do, a lot of rehearsals, gigs, stuff like that. And Hearthstone has been unkind to me in a way that I am not used to. Or either that I've been unkind to myself. It's been I'm glad for the month to restart, because I have had probably the worst 2 weeks of Hearthstone in the last year for sure, easily.
So
Just
both standard and wild, or which side?
Both, doesn't matter. I hit Legend 2 weeks ago and have done nothing positive since then. I thought I was going to hit double Legend because I hit rank 2 like 2 days after I hit Legend, and while like, oh, piece of cake, no big deal, I got this. Boy, was I wrong. Jeez, because I think I was just on the most insidious type of tilt that, like, I relearned what tilt meant, because like I was playing like I'm playing because I'm mad at the game, because I got to prove that I can win and this and that, and I'll be glad when the month resets in a couple hours, so then I can, refocus and try to find maybe something I like to play for the next week and a half or so until the cards drop. But anyways,
we also have
what you need
your
to do...
Canadian friend Eve Martin that's chiming in here. What's up, Eve?
What you need to do is come to Discord like I did, and then just like spill out all of those feelings you're feeling, and then they come back and they remind you of all the things you said to them in all of those episodes about tilt and about keeping your head straight, and you go, oh yeah, and then it helps you get back.
Well, I kind of did, in sort of a toned down sort of way, and that didn't happen. So I'm not trying to like hang this around the neck of Discord, but I was a very alone person this week. Maybe that was my own fault. I don't care.
Just remember
that's why we have monthly resets.
Sitting in your throne rooms of Dumpster Legend while I'm sitting at rank 4. So, quote unquote.
It's good to be
Legend.
the king. So.
Someday, Simba, all of this will be yours. All right. This week, guys, the title of our show is going to be Worgen, Witches, and Wanted, because this card had a lot of chit-chat about these particular cards this week. We will not be discussing what a lot of people will try to fit in this week, which is the Hearthstone debacle with the competitive issues with Legend Ladder. Highly recommend that you go to places that will be discussing this with varying levels of salt, mind you. But I can guarantee that Well Met will have a lot of things to say about it because of how active Ray C has been on Twitter the last 24 hours. And probably Ridiculous Hat will be covering this with Boticus as well, because I know that those guys
I was going to say Coin Concede will probably jump in with their opinions on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
So those
opinions worth hearing. So
those would be places that would have not just opinions on this, but people that are actually actively in the system trying it instead of sharing their opinions on it, like we would probably be doing as non-competitors.
We're uninformed opinions.
Yeah. So, granted, you could say our uninformed opinions extend to card reviews, but we can get them right and wrong just like the best of them. So we're gonna do that. But this week we also have a brief little bit of news that is a revisit for the Tavern Brawl. But I won't be playing bumpers for this. It's just miniature warfare. It's a repeat, new cards, so they wanted to do
It's
the
a ton of
miniature
fun
warfare
though.
again.
Like,
Eve?
I think the last time that we had this brawl, we didn't have a whole bunch of cards that people have been playing. Like, did we have Bone Mare last time? Because
No.
that's all over.
If you're not running Bone Mare, you're losing.
Yeah. Apparently, Druid might just be the best class for this because they have a whole bunch of like buff everything cards.
I didn't use a single buff card, and I still won with Druid.
Yeah.
Ask me anything. Just kidding.
I've seen a lot of the purple worm, the one that when it dies, it like gives you 7 1/1s. So that's been huge.
No, the Violet Worm. Yeah, that thing's
Yes.
dope.
I just
Violet
love
Worm
playing against
Cenarius.
somebody and going, oh, that's a good idea. And, oh, that's a good idea. And then going back and building a whole new deck and then playing it and then getting stomped again and going, oh, that's an even better idea. Oh, why didn't I think of that?
I ran into a Paladin that got the great idea of running all the buff cards with Paladin and then like questing Adventurer and yeah, like Violet Worm, put it down and then put down the what's the guy, the Darkshire
Stormwind Champion?
No, that one too, but the one that gives all your guys 1/1 attack, Divine Shield. I'm blanking out. Not the Councilman, but the Back to Your Homes. That one.
Yeah. It's
I'm
the
blanking out on the name, but that one is like
Darkshire, Steward of Darkshire.
Steward of Darkshire. Darkshire is something. So, yeah, like Violet Worm dies, and they're like bloop, bloop, bubbles, and then you buff them or something crazy like that.
Bubbles.
Like I got all
Bubbles
the
for
bubbles.
days.
Oh,
then you should put a Blood Knight out, and then it would be like a 22-22.
Yikes.
Pop all your own bubbles.
That would be super cool.
I'll tell you what I played.
Anyways.
Do you guys know what a card name Grizzled Guardian? The young Grizzled Guardian. It's a 3/5 that's 8 mana normally that has taunt and death rattle. Recruit 2 minions that cost 4 or less from your deck. When everything costs 1, it's pretty good. And oh, by the way, especially when you can on turn 3 play Umbra Grizzled Guardian Cube.
But no, best turn one. Onyxia. Turn 1 Onyxia is the best.
I played against a warrior that cleared my board on turn 2 with the or turn 1 maybe with a Ravaging Ghoul, and then cleared my board that had Umbra and the cubes on it. And I was like, why would you clear it with a Deathwing? Because now you have no cards and I have a board, and this is gonna be fun. I was like, all I need to do is recruit Malygos 1 time and play this nice Moonfire Swipe in my hand for turn 4. So good luck.
If you recruit things, they're still 1/1, right?
Oh yeah, they're still 1/1, but you can still buff them and get their effects.
Yeah.
I even ran a couple silences because I didn't know how they would work with the 1/1s. Like maybe I got a Ysera and I could just do a 4/12 with silence. So I threw like 3 silences in there. So
I'll tell you what. I was actually super surprised. I played this brawl quite a bit actually because I had some quests to do and ladder was kicking me off. So I played it a lot. I was really surprised at how many people thought that when they had like a death rattle minion pop out like a Devilsaur egg, they thought it was a 5/5, and you could tell that they'd set it up, they get all clever, and out would pop a 1/1. They'd be like,
what?
Long pause. You see nothing get like they mouse over the card.
That's the thing, though. Like, I thought that too. I honestly did until I saw all the interactions. I went in thinking, okay, if you play it, it's going to be a 1/1. But if you manage to get it out some other way, then it's going to have its original stats. And was a little surprised when it didn't work out. So I think that made it a bit more even across the board because nobody could just cheat out something huge. Yeah. But yeah, I was a little surprised the first time it happened too.
Well,
cool.
I have another link in our news section for you guys. If you'd like to follow along, I will be putting this link in the chat for you if you'd like to monitor this in our live show. But it's basically a split up of where the cards will be and a guesstimate of how many rares, how many commons, how many epics, given the past sets, and how many total legendaries there are, and which ones we have not and which ones we have seen on Hearthstone. There are a lot of sites that do this. I think that the first one that I remember seeing this was probably on Hearthstone Top Decks and from Disguised Toast website. They started doing this with projections of sets way back, and now a lot of the websites are adopting the same style. That being said, we have a lot of cards to cover this week, folks. Actually, we have precisely 34 cards to talk about, and this will be a little bit fatiguing for us. So what we will do is we will try to share at least someone's opinion on it, and it will be a little bit less organized as far as like us picking cards this week. And then on the final card dump, we'll just choose a couple things. I think this week and next week we won't have the final card dump, but I've been wrong before, so we'll see if next week has the final card dump or not. But this is going to be week 3 of card reveals, and let's start us off. Who wants to talk about Houndmaster Shaw?
I can take it.
I will.
Oh, go ahead, Grant. Go.
Okay, Houndmaster Shaw is a 4-mana 3/6 legendary hunter class specific minion. Reads your other minions have rush. Rush is the new mechanic where basically minions get to charge into other minions only, kind of like Charge Devil Store did. The effect is persistent. Just as a note, that as long as Shaw's on the field, every minion you have. So if he sticks on the board, High Main is going to be crashing into your face or into your minions and clearing your board and getting other dudes that can, clear your board some more. I like this card a lot. I think there have been a lot of 4-mana cards that are 3/6 in stats, and I think 3/6 is incredibly hard at that stage in the game to get rid of.
Enough to remove a decent amount and enough to survive a decent amount. It's a good stat.
And Hunter doesn't have a ton of stuff in the 4 slot that's really super awesome. I mean, Houndmaster kind of has lived in the 4 slot forever. So you can have a third Houndmaster.
So is it kind of fun that his name is the same thing?
I don't think it's accidental. So, yeah, I think 3/6 is awesome stats for that. Now, if it was like a 3/5 or a 3/4, I'd be like, it's going to die every single time. But you know how hard it is to get rid of a Priest of the Feast, how hard it is to get rid of a Water Elemental. What's the Healing Shaman card that gives you that looks like a goldfish? What's his name? That one's hard to get rid of. He gives you like 6 health.
Jinyu Water Speaker.
Those cards, anything that's a 3/6 is super hard to get rid of, taunt or not. So I think it has a lot of survivability for those reasons.
Important note for this card is that we found out through some good tweets from the community that a persisting effect that overlaps on the board with another one. This is going to be, again, edge case, but let's say you have a Houndmaster Shaw and a Tundra Rhino on the board. A Tundra Rhino is a 5-mana hunter card that has 2 attack, 5 health, and gives your beasts on the board charge, which is basically the same as rush as you've come to know, but allows the hit face. That the charge will have, basically the beast will have both tags of rush and charge given the persisting effects, and the charge will overwrite the rush when considering the check on the card if it can hit face or not that same turn. So it doesn't have to do with ordering, it has to do with a priority list of how the code goes, I believe is what they were saying. And we talked about this extensively. If you've been in Discord chats with us this week, this is something that Eve and I and Hat and Grant, actually all of us are talking about this because this was actually pretty important buzz at the time. It's like, does this mean you can rush and charge if you get a Tundra Rhino? Because Tundra Rhino can come out of Rexar. So you might actually have that edge case come up a little bit more often if Rexar sees a lot more play. That being said,
and it's not going to overwrite charge. Like if you have a minion that has charge on it, it's not like it's going to take the charge away and say now it has rush and it can't hit face.
That's right.
So like Stone Tusk Boar will still be able to charge if you have Houndmaster Shaw out.
Right. Well, Blister Guide made a super good point about how Tundra Rhino costs 1 more and is actually weaker even though it has charge. And this costs less and actually has a lot more durability. And Tundra Rhinos are like, you see that thing, it's got to go. Like you do anything.
Yeah, that's an insta kill.
I think this card will have the same amount of panic associated with it, except for it's going to be a lot harder to kill. So if you don't have a Fireball in hand as a mage, you toast. If you don't have a Shadow or Pain as a priest, that's a problem. You know what I mean? And et cetera, et cetera. So,
Eve, I wanted you to touch on this card because it is a legendary. Are there lore implications?
No. All of the Houndmasters that I know of in World of Warcraft at the moment are demons.
Yes, there are 2 different Houndmasters that came to my mind from Scarlet Monastery, both before and after the Cataclysm, and both of them have different names, so this is not the same guy.
Yeah, this one's created for Hearthstone only.
That's correct. All right, Eve, I'm going to give you the next one, unless you would like me to take it.
It's fine. Rotten Applebomb, I think, how you would pronounce that. 5 mana, 4/5, neutral, common minion. Taunt, Death Rattle, restore 4 health to your hero. So, Let's see, a 5 mana 4/5 with taunt is a decent body. You have a note here that it's like Sledge Belcher because when it dies, it gives you 4 health. Yeah.
What do you
It's
think,
just
Eve?
decent.
Is this like what's your aggro brain hitting on this card when you see it?
Not enough.
Yeah, I think 5 mana 4/5 isn't exciting enough and isn't doing enough compared to some things that are out there already. It is neutral, so it's, you know, every class is going to have access to this if they need some taunt in their deck. The 4 health on turn 5, you're probably going to be able to heal that reliably. Like, you're not worried about just wasting a 4 heal at turn 5.
Mhm.
Especially against an aggro deck. So that's something that's... But it's just kind of middle of the road, you know? And sometimes we need every card in our deck to be doing something special, important, synergistic. And to me, this is just kind of, it's a middle of the road taunt. What do you think, Grant?
I think in a control deck, I think if I like put this in a control deck in the current meta with all the paladin, I like this card because it does what Mistress of Mixtures does, except for just you, and it slows them down. And in a control deck, I think that's good. And there's, except for Warlock, there's not a lot in other types of control decks. 5 is not a turn that's you're doing much. In Priest, 5 you don't do a lot of you don't do a lot of stuff in 5, except for Draconet Operative. That's probably your best 5 play right now. So this just gives you some more options. But then again, it just depends on what kind you're running. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it might be it'll be good in the next meta because those cards are not going to be around, if that makes any sense. I think it will fill a niche. So,
well,
I think
Sam
you're right.
rightfully
I'm
took
thinking-
what I was going to say in the chat log, which is this is going to be a highly prioritized pick against aggro with Stonehill Defender.
Stonehill. Yeah,
you see
yeah,
it.
it's true.
And
Yeah, that's true.
secondly, I actually do believe this card is enough. That 4 healing might actually be on par with as frustrating as like a little bit more of a balanced version of Sludge Belcher, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because Sludge Belcher had a different catch-22, which was against Priest, you could steal them sometimes, or you could steal the minion that comes out of it with the 1/2 taunt, or you could take the what's it called? You could use like Pain and kill it. Whereas this is a little bit more durable with the 4 health. It actually trades up a little bit more often.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a whole, this is a little bit weaker to silence. But at the same time, I think for 5 mana, because of N'Zoth rotating, this is something that they can print for standard, and it could be pretty good.
Honestly, if they spend their silence on this, I'm happy because then they're not spending their silence.
You know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah.
fine if they burn silence on this. You're not really too upset because you still have 4 attack on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you're like really, really low and they silence this, it's still pretty devastating. You know what I mean? Like to not have 4 health and they can go past it. So I think this card, I was very surprised to hear how many people thought this wasn't as good as some of the tools that we were seeing already. And I was like, this card is extremely powerful. Whether or not
well, I
it
think
will
it's
be
because you're
enough.
seeing it from control, right? Like your control brain is seeing this as stall, as getting you to your game, and my aggro brain is like, please not more taunt.
Well, the only
Please
reason
stop
I say
adding
this is
taunt.
going to be more valuable with the heal is because of what heals we don't have anymore. And it's neutral. And convincingly, I believe this is, this is probably what Sludge Belcher should have been. You know what I mean? Like, early enough, Sludge Belcher's really annoying. You saw it in like every deck. This is finally at a par level where you're like, I actually need to consider if this is going to be worth it for me or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's I really wanted to talk about this card at least a little bit in that respect, but just keep in mind you will be seeing this card if Stonehill Defender is still good, and folks, Stonehill Defender is going to be good until it rotates. So
yeah,
It is
the
good.
value is too strong in it. Yeah.
all right, I have the next one, which is one of the most underwhelming cards as far as excitement level, not just power level for me, which is called the Witchwood Apple. It is a 2-mana spell for druids that allows players to add 3/2/2 treants to your hand. Thankfully, they changed the art for the treants because they're going to look more like witchwood treants, which I thought was pretty neat. But adding this to your hand is very interesting to me. I really had to think long and hard because a lot of people are hating and just dismissing this card, and I didn't really see a whole lot of good discussion on like what the possibilities were for this.
I could see a bunch of possibilities.
I saw a lot, actually. Like, I kind of just was thinking, I was like, well, if you're playing a lot of cards in your hand, this could be something where if you're playing like an aggressive deck, you might include like 1 or 2 of these in your deck just to have some more bodies. And then also this will help you kind of have a little bit of reload. And the only reason I said the reload is kind of there is I compare this a little bit to Stand Against Darkness, which again has more synergies with dudes and stuff. But I thought this card might be one of those cards where it's like really lame in like how you look at it, like right out of the gate. But like as you see more stuff, maybe not even this set, but like throughout the next year and 2 years of cards, this could be something that you need to like look through and like, okay, do I want more cards in my hands? What if they have cards that let you adjust cards in your hand? You know what I mean? Like if I put a bunch of cards in my hand and lets me like play a card to swap my hand with somebody, that could be pretty nutty. Then they have a bunch of 2/2s and I have a bunch of cool cards.
Do we know what the treants cost once they're in your hand? Are they 2 mana cards or are they 1? 2/2s for 2, so totally vanilla. Well,
see,
I mean,
here's what I'm thinking. If there's something that is based on how many cards you have in your hand, this is cheaper or this is stronger or whatever, then that's one thing. Or every time you play a card, something happens, so you want to have tokens in your hand that you can play one after the other. This is a good thing. But nothing like that currently exists for Druid.
Exactly.
So to me, I'm like, oh, this makes my Divine Favor better.
Yeah.
So,
wild.
Go ahead.
Remember, wild is a thing. And this card, wild in so many decks, and it's been said before by many different people, that for so many archetypes, there's these archetypes floating out in the ether that almost exist, but they're missing
just
a couple
need
pieces.
a couple cards.
I'm not saying this is a piece, but this, if you think about it, what's one of the big problems that like a token druid has is they run out of gas, right? That's why they have Jeeves and things like that.
Right.
Replenish it. So if you can get your board cleared, put this down, buff it, you're back in business.
Also,
you know
this works really well with living mana. If you lose all of your mana and you have a 2 mana play and they kill one of your dudes and just go face, then you're like, okay, well, I can at least refill my hand with a couple minions and play them for cheap. It guarantees that. The other thing I was thinking about this was actually something that I didn't see anyone talking about, so I was pretty hyped about this. There is a chance that you might even see a Miracle Questing Adventurer in Druid now. Because you could play Questing Adventurer with this card and use this in a Druid for cheap spells with reload for your Gadgetzan Auctioneers. And then you could drop like 2/2/2/2/2 with a Gadgetzan and just like get a bunch of cheap stuff and pump up a Questing
Wouldn't
Adventurer.
that already work with Jades?
Jades aren't in Standard anymore.
I mean, in Wild.
Well, yeah, Wild's going to have
but
its
Jades give a
staple
different
stuff,
byproduct that you don't need the Questing Adventure because it's like built into the Jades itself.
That's true.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not park here too long. We have lots of cards, guys. So I'm going to back this up with the next one, Whispering Woods. This is another Druid card. I'm going to give this to Grant.
Okay, 4 mana epic Druid spell reads: summon a 1/1 wisp for each card in your hand.
Wait. That synergizes with the one we were just talking about.
It does.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sister card to it. It's kind of doing the same thing. Except the cool thing is it puts it on the board. Costs a little more, but I guess the problem with it is that if you are a token or an aggro-y kind of thing, you're not really keeping stuff in your hand too much. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know.
This sounds like an archetype. This smells like an archetype. Like
we haven't seen any
bunch
Druid
of tokens.
legendaries, by the way.
Tokens. Wait a minute. How much does it cost? Okay, Whispering Woods is pretty cheap for what it does. Like if you can fill the board with 1/1 wisps for 4 mana.
I mean, let's see when you're playing like an average deck, like let's say an average mid-range control deck. By turn 4, how many cards do you typically have in your hand? What, 4? Maybe 5 max, right? Unless you're playing control, in which case you're just kind of filling your hand up. So it could be. I mean, it could be for 4. You could be 3 for 4 or 4 for 4. You know, kind of like a.
Unless you
When
use
you get a 5 mana
Apple.
play, you get a board of 7/7, or you get a board.
Witchwood
of 2/2s,
Apple is
right?
2 mana, so if you're able to use that before Whispering Woods, then you're going to get a lot more.
Yeah. So It has a lot of potential.
It's interesting.
Because if Paladin's proven nothing, getting a board full of 1/1s is not a bad thing.
Especially if you can interact with them.
Yeah,
And
which
Druid has a lot of buffs.
Paladin and Druid are the best
and
ones.
Could get more because we have lots of other things, especially high power level cards that we haven't seen yet, potentially.
I have to tell you, I would rather Druid went in this direction than in the direction they're in right now. Like, this sounds more interesting to play against than what they got going on right now.
You're going to regret dusting your Druid cards, Eve. I know it's going to be an archetype that you would
happen.
like.
It's going to happen.
No, never.
Eve, being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn is not a virtue.
Listen, if you had seen the Druid that I had seen in Wild, you would hate them forever too.
Just so you know, I'm running that deck
I will
first thing
say,
tomorrow.
There's
I'm running the Druid deck.
There's something that I was thinking of here was that if we have a bunch of reload cards and people want to ignore them, that's fine. But people are very quickly gonna remember that Druids have Savage Roar. And even if they don't have that many cards in their hand and they get like 3 to 4, this card's scary because 3 to 4 means that's 4 damage or 3 damage plus 2 more per minion and your face. So
shall we keep it rolling?
Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
But remember,
I think Eve should do the next one for sure.
The other side of the coin I wanted to say here is the disclaimer that every time Blizzard has printed a card that says Wisp on it, it's not been amazing, but it's been something to consider. It's whipped, yeah.
Well, you do have to remember what Quest Rogue did with the Wisp.
Oh, yeah,
Nani?
I know what they did.
Flashbacks. Okay, Rebuke. 2 mana, Paladin spell. Enemy spells cost 5 more next turn.
Jeez.
So it's a Loatheb effect as a common Paladin spell. And at first I was like, yes, I can have Loatheb and 2 of these in my deck and no one will ever clear my board again. But it is a tempo loss. And in an aggro deck or even in a mid-range deck, the sacrifice you're making for a tempo loss is sometimes not worth it. So I am interested to see how this plays out. I'm interested to see if a one of, works out. I really appreciate Loatheb in Wild. It is a game changer to be able to build a board and then save it for at least 1 turn because sometimes that's all you need. So go ahead, Grant.
I actually disagree with you very strongly because I was thinking about how games play out. What are the turns that in like any game that you worry about a big AoE? Like the main turns that are like going to clear your board, other than like Warlock Defile. Warlock Defile can happen whenever. What's on 3?
Duskbreaker.
Yeah, but that's not gonna. But that doesn't count for this particular the point I'm making with this card.
Okay, if
this
I'm
card's
in
not
Wild,
going to stop a Duskbreaker no matter what you do.
Okay,
it's pretty much 5, 6, 7, right?
In Hellfire.
In Hellfire. But it's like I'm going to kind of set the Warlock ones aside for a second, right? Because the Warlock ones
they're so cheap that they might be able to play them anyway.
Right.
Depending on what
it's
turn
not going to help you. But because Loatheb does not shine against those cards per se, right? Loatheb shines really against the Flame Strikes and the Blizzards and the Dragonfire Potions and the Psychic Screams and things like that, right?
What I use him for in Wild is to prevent Spreading Plague the next turn.
Right, or in case Spreading Plague, 6 mana,
exactly.
6 mana card. So you're telling me that being able to play Call to Arms on turn 6 plus this is a tempo negative play?
It doesn't have a body.
So? Yeah, it doesn't have a stick, but Blizzard is not going to print another Loatheb because Loatheb is too good.
Well, no, I get that.
It's just that good. What I'm saying is like it's like an insurance policy because how many times have you been playing where you have a great board and you're like, well, I hope they don't clear me, and they do. But like if you can just slap down a 2-cost card and like my board's good, it's going to last at least another turn. That's all I need.
I'm actually going to chime in here because I agree with Eve. I think this card is really overhyped. I don't think this card is going to see a lot of play outside of a one-of copy, and the fact that this card is overhyped is less about it being a powerful card when it can be played, but rather that this card has a very high skill floor. For those people that don't understand what a skill floor means, is that a card or anything in any game, whether it be soccer, Overwatch, Hearthstone, or anything, is the skill floor is basically the bottom level of understanding to get a good result or a acceptable level of play It's hard for me to translate this to Hearthstone as much as I
No,
can.
it makes
but
sense. You got it. I think
You're right.
Basically,
That works.
the
Works
bottom level of acceptance for this to be playable or good enough is something that we don't really want to talk about. But what I with this particular card, I want to say that it has a high skill floor, meaning that you have to know a lot of factors to get value out of this. And if the average player base is playing this card because they're like, oh my gosh, somebody played this card and it's busted when they played it, and then they play this in their deck and they're like, this is the first thing I'm going to cut because they don't understand how to use it. So I want to keep that in mind when you're reviewing Rebuke, and a lot of pros are telling you that it's a powerful card. It's very powerful effect, but only when you know what's coming. And you can act like predict it, and you know the meta. So out of the gate, in the first maybe even month, this card's going to be really bad as far as like a inclusionary card. But we're not here to tell you if it's going to be good or bad or not. We're just kind of tell you what you can use the card for, right? And what it might be in. Eve, you want to wrap it up?
Should we move along then?
Yeah, the thing about aggro decks is that they have to be very specific. Every single card in the deck has to pull its weight. It has to be like streamlined. It has to do exactly what you want because you've got a limited amount of time to get your job done or you're dead. Or they've built up enough taunt and health that you're never going to get them down. So it doesn't fit any decks that we have right now. But that doesn't mean that those decks won't change and there will be a place for it in a different kind of deck. Because I just had a game where I pulled every single one of my secrets in my first opening hand and the couple of turns afterwards, and that feels bad. As an aggro deck where you're not playing anything and not playing anything and not playing anything. So spells have to be really good.
It really
and they have to do something. Yeah, they have to really do something for your overall game in order to stay. That's why Lothab is there, because he's a heavy body along with a really good effect. This is just a spell.
Yeah, Lothab is just like universally fine when you play him, and he doesn't get any value out of the effect because it's just something vanilla that you get, and it's a board. He's
hard to remove. He has to be dealt with, like all of these things. So right now, the different decks that I'm thinking of, it doesn't have a place in. But like you said, Grant, there are different decks out there that don't have a place yet because they don't have key cards that can allow them to exist. So it's possible that this card will create that deck and allow it to exist where it couldn't before.
Yeah, it's hard to compare a card that's like balanced with something that's completely OP, right? So let's go into Vivid Nightmare. This is a 3-mana spell for priests that is an epic card. It says, choose a friendly minion and summon a copy of it with 1 health remaining.
Which means you can heal it up.
This card
So 1 health remaining means it's damaged.
This card is extremely specific. Remember the whole thing that we have as a caveat. If it's a epic card, always consider specific card for a specific purpose and a specific deck with a specific game plan. That's how you want to interpret epic cards in a broad brush kind of way. It doesn't mean it applies to everything because we have cards like friggin' Primordial Drake that exist. So, but that being said, this card has gross potential in decks that want to run it. And I think that's probably the fastest way that I want you to look about this card. If there are decks that you have something that you want to kill really quickly and you can summon a copy of it for 3 mana, that's really scary. If it has a good death rattle effect, is something you're going to look as a target. If it's something that you want a Circle of Healing that's really good for the target, that's great. If it's something you want to worry about for your Spellstones or for Resurrect and Wild, you have those options in your arsenal. I mean, that's kind of the gamut, right? Like, that's what you're looking for. Something really, really powerful that you want to copy really quickly, and you want to do it for cheap.
Yeah, Priest just likes to do stuff like this. I was thinking, would it work in Big Priest or something like it? And some of those lists are really tight. I think the list will have to be a derivation that kind of does something different based on what we have coming out. You know what I mean? So
people are freaking out about this with one
judgment.
combo in mind, which is Leroy Jenkins. Because Leroy is a 6/2, you summon 2/2s, and you get a 12 damage burst, and if you happen to have Mind Blast in hand, that's another 5, so it's 17. Historically, 17 is not really enough for an OTK. However, if you somehow play the Gargoyles and you get a coin, I can see people bursting for a ridiculous amount of damage because that's 1 more. That's 18, and 18 is kind of the staple for something if you want to play double Vivid Nightmare.
If you want the death rattle off of something to go off.
Don't you mean 22 if you play the other Mind Blast?
You don't have enough mana.
If you want the death rattle for
3,
something
3,
to
and
go
Oh,
five.
off,
I see. I get you now. I follow.
Yeah.
you.
but the death rattle minion has a big butt and it's not going to die easily, you summon a copy of it and you could easily kill it off with Spirit Lash with this.
What are you saying, Eve? Spirit Lash with the thing that has the
If
death
you
rattle?
have, yeah, if you have something with the death rattle that you would like to trigger, but it has a big butt or it's not going to die easily or your opponent is like ignoring it, then you could summon this and kill it immediately with Spirit Lash and trigger the death rattle that you need.
You know,
yeah,
you
I
could
mean,
do
you
a
could
weird.
do a big priest, right?
You could do a weird like turn 10 where you cube a Velen, you cube something like a Velen, and then copy the cube and have a 1/1
The
version of it,
Velen's the scary thing, right?
and then
Yeah.
use a Spirit Lash on it.
The good thing
I mean,
about this
that's-
is it does
That's
cost
pie in
3
the sky,
mana.
but
I do like that this is 3 mana. If this was pretty
It's
much
really cheap.
anything lower, it's way too strong.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's really anything that we can give context for because this card literally is something that you need to consider in every single meta, every single card that releases for Priest and Neutral.
Well,
'Cause
we're
it's
just
that
talking about
scary.
interesting things that it could do, and in Priest
But we don't have to
kind
be
of has.
exhaustive. We can't be.
Right,
So let's-
exactly.
Okay, I just had one more idea. Priest
Okay,
go
likes
ahead.
it when things are damaged because they get to heal it, right? And Priest
can
does
get
have a bunch of cards
drawing.
that do things when things get healed, like their most famous Northshire Cleric. But there's also other things that are like, do you remember that bot back in the day that did a damage whenever you healed something? And then people would like heal their face? It was a mech.
Mhm.
It would like knife juggler throw out damage whenever you healed something. So if
Shadow Boxer.
Priest
Shadowboxer, yeah.
Right, Shadowboxer. If Priest gets a couple more things that are like this gets +1/+1 every time you heal something, or you something every time something gets healed, then they like having minions that are injured. Injured Blade Master has been played in decks in the past, so that's another thing that I thought of when I saw this was
Yeah,
it might not
the
be a bad
healing.
thing that comes it into play injured if you could heal it over and over.
Okay,
again.
next one's a Warlock card. So Grant, you have the floor.
Yeah. Galinda Crowskin, 6 mana, 3/7 legendary Warlock minion. Reads: Minions in your hand have echo. I
It's
like
a
this
creepy
card.
name. Crowskin.
I'm a fan.
Galinda Crowskin. Okay. I think not knowing what cards I would necessarily want to echo, because I'll be honest, I know a lot of Hearthstone cards, but I can't run the catalog in my mind that fast. And I try to like I don't spend too much time thinking about deck building during the week sometimes, especially this week when you're just grinding ladder with the deck you think you know how to play. But I think it has a lot of potential. Like I was thinking, what if you could? I guess I'm thinking in Wild because I'm like, what if I wanted to do Malchazar's Imp? Like, what if I wanted to just like keep echoing Malchazar's Imp out and then like do some kind of like Doomguard and then like get a bunch of cards? You know what I mean? So I mean, it
Oh
could
my
be.
gosh.
It could be if there was a possibility for a burn Warlock, I could see a world where this would be really cool. But like I would want to see like low minions that could be echoed, like low cost that
Yes.
stuff. That's kind of what I was thinking, but we'll see what comes out. So who knows?
What if you use Flame Imp over and over and over again, and
You just
then
die.
play-
Face.
no. But then you play the giant that costs less the
Molten?
more you damage.
Oh.
Yeah, molten
She's saying like a
giant.
mechanic to like get a really
Yeah.
early Molten Giant turnout.
To deliberately injure yourself. Well, that's not really early though, because
This is
6
why
mana.
Molten Giant's being rotated to Hall of Fame.
It
And
could be.
That is scary.
Well,
and wild.
it's a good thing we all play Wild. Well,
I
you
will
need
say
to.
that this is significant that it's
They
not
could play
spells. It's not spells, so you can't just soul fire somebody for 12.
Right. But
Right.
minions, are there neutral minions that give you a heal right away? Because you could echo that over and over again as well.
I mean, you can echo a
In
Plague
Wild,
Beetle
you have
twice.
Healbot.
What's that Kobold card that gives you 4 health? It's a 4/4 for 4, gives you 4 health. What's that one?
Some fungus thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Shroom Brewer, maybe?
Yeah, Shroom Brewer. Turn
Don't
8.
ask me how I know these card names, guys. I work really hard. I don't
Because
know.
you're a gentleman and a scholar, Rob. So, okay.
I watch a lot of dumb arena games from Amaz, like Raging. So
I will
how I
say
know
this,
cards.
that it's kind of the safest place to put this card is in Warlock, because a lot of the battle cries are negative to Warlock. So depending on what they choose to play, there's going to be kind of a balance, because it's discarding cards and doing damage to your face and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it's probably one of the safer classes to put this legendary
I don't think it's
in.
like something that you're gonna want to like build a whole deck around, but I think this does give
Yeah.
you some cool options in the future, and I like the card as a whole. I will say something fun about Shroom Brewer is when you play him, he says, "Bubblies and yummies." It's pretty cool.
I know. I love that
And
one.
then when
so
he
much.
attacks, he goes, he's pretty ridiculous card.
The, like,
now I
like
have to play
the
this.
bugle
Oh,
call.
it's literally the greatest card besides
Yeah.
maybe the little furry thing that just does like screams at you.
Oh, the one
attacks.
that gives you a copy of
Oh,
The
itself?
coin concede card.
That one?
Yeah.
That one?
The coin concede card. All right,
Oh, my
Eve, Nightmare Amalgam.
3 mana, 3/4, epic neutral minion, which is all different creature types. So in Magic the Gathering, this would be called what's it? Changeling. Changeling is the kind of card that this would be.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
an elemental, it's a mech, it's a demon, it's a murloc, it's a dragon, it's a beast, it's a pirate, and it's a totem. So
And it
any
dies to
creature
everything.
type that we have, it is that. And it's a 3 mana, 3/4. So, guys, help me. Why do you want something that's everything?
I think this is
It's
really
an
good for
activator.
Wild.
That's pretty much it. It's an activator.
But why though?
Let me
I mean,
You
it's
have
cool.
a dragon in your
Let me
hand. If
clarify
you
this
have
by
a mech in your hand. If you
Let me clarify
have,
this
you
by
know,
saying that there is something that somebody said in our Discord this morning, my time this evening, your time. By the way, we're recording the last day of March 31st for why we're not including certain cards, for the record. They are saying that somebody's like, are we getting a Curator 2.0 card for this next set? And the Yangwu said, I really hope so.
I think it was Mike Donay, actually.
Mike
It was
Donay, sorry, Mike Donay.
And
That
he
sounds like a
actually
tacit
said,
affirmation.
I hope they like 2.0.
Something like
is what
that.
Mike Donay
It's
said.
very
Yeah.
ethereal, but this is the card to pay attention to. If
Oh,
that
I don't know.
happens.
That's pretty much saying there's going to be a 2.0. Now, my thinking is his version of what he thinks 2.0 Curator is might be wildly different from what we might envision. But he said, I hope everyone likes version 2.0. So we're going to get something.
I just like that
don't know what it's gonna be like.
this is something really cool, really useful, and yet is extremely weak to tech cards. If you're going to put something that's like a catch-22 that catches everything so that you can play it, it should also catch everything that kills it, right? So that's fine.
Hungry Crab loves this card.
Hungry Crab, Glocker Crawler, and Dragon Slayer all kill this.
It's true. True.
So, all
Moving
them
on?
crabs be
Yeah.
hungry. All them crabs be hungry.
Them crabs go. All them.
Important to note, I did hear that if you silence a card, the tag all still is there, even if it gets X'd out. Literally everything in the card text is italicized, which means it cannot be silenced, from what I understand, or it's giving information.
Yeah, when you silence
You can't
a
silence
beast,
cards type. You
it
can't
doesn't
silence
stop
card
being
type.
a
can't-
beast,
yeah.
You
right?
can't
Yeah.
silence a tribe is the
Mhm.
language. All right, the
Yeah.
next one's a shaman card, so it's mine. Witch's Apprentice. It is a 1 mana 0/1 beast. And it is a common minion.
Frog.
It has taunt, just like your hexed frogs. So it looks like the lore of the card is that Hagatha had a really good, or perceivably good in her own mind, minion that was hexed because she did something that made Hagatha angry, and Battlecry adds a random shaman spell to your hand. So pretty interesting. Not the most high power level card, but it's cheap, and it cycles, and it doesn't draw cards out of your deck. I really, really, really want Blizzard to give us less shaman minions so I can see what spells I could be getting from this card from this set, because I don't have any yet. And it really feels bad to get cryostasis out of this, I have to say. However,
I don't know. It feels bad to get a lot of shamans.
cryostasis is pretty good if you play this on turn 3, because now you have a 3/4 with taunt that's frozen, for what it's worth. So, anyways, just some
Right,
fun.
because it wasn't going to be able to attack anyway because it's
Bingo.
a 0/1. So
Bingo.
no
So-
harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul, question mark? But, yeah, this card's pretty cool. I love the flavor. I love everything about this card, except I want more information. So, we'll see. This card could be good, could be really bad, could be really, really fun, guaranteed. So, definitely want to experiment with this card. It looks fun.
Yeah.
And I'm going to usurp all measures of authority because this next card is also a shaman card, so it's mine.
Fine.
It is a
You can
Hagatha
have
the
it.
Witch card. This is the newest and only hero card of the set. It is a shaman legendary female orc shaman of the forest. And it's 8 mana. It is a legendary. It has 5 armor when you play it, just like other hero cards. And it deals 3 damage to all minions, but not heroes. So you don't take 3, your enemy doesn't take 3, but all of the board will take 3. And the hero power, which I'll click over here so you can see it on the live stream, is a passive one. This is the second hero power that is passive that is allowed for players to play in ranked and in casual as a card, collectible card. After you play a minion, add a random shaman spell to your hand. So very flavorful that the toad has the similar effect, because this is basically what Hagatha does. So lore-wise, Hagatha trained the frog or the apprentice, depending on what ended up happening post-hex or pre-hex. You don't really know yet. But they definitely figured out how to summon spells when you play minions. So you play this, and then you play a little froggy. You get a 0/1 for taunt for 9 mana, and you got 2 spells in your hand and 5 health armor and maybe a board clear in your hands. So maybe they work
Casino
really well together.
Shaman.
Casino Shaman is here. I will say that all of
it.
the emotes for this can be found on Hearthstone's YouTube page if you'd like to go see them. And on Hearthstone, I think they have it on their release for Hagatha. It was really, really cool to see this with Frodan reacting to all of them. This card's very, very cool. Is it amazing? I'm not sure, but it could be.
Yes, it
could
is.
be.
It's amazing.
Well, I mean, think about Nefarian. Like when you were playing like the Nefarian versus Ragnaros Brawl, he does just that, except he does it cross-class, right? Just generate a random spell for nothing. There you go.
I mean,
Boom.
it's not an elf card, so I can sign up for this, right?
I will. I want to critique the art design here. All it looks like is Gul'dan. It doesn't look that different from Gul'dan to me, minus the bones sticking out of his back. You know what I mean?
It's wearing a croc hood, dude. This card looks awesome.
I don't know. I feel like it could have looked more different, more strikingly so.
To grant all orcs look the same.
Yes,
the females and the males don't really have a whole lot of distinguishing factors. Let me tell you what. I do like the hero power, the fingers.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. Actually.
All right, well, we need to keep going. So we're back to Grantius Maximus with the Muck Hunter.
We're back to moi. Muck Hunter, 5 mana, 5/8 epic neutral minion, has rush, battle cry, summon 2 2/1 mucklings for your opponent. I don't know. I don't know about this card. This card confuses me because it's got I like the stats on it for 5/8. That's cool, and it has rush, but it gives your opponent 2/1 mucklings. Do we know if the mucklings are 1 cost or 2?
1 mana, 2 1s. I have it on the screen.
Okay, 1 mana, 2 1.
Stream.
So
sorry,
we've had cards in the
okay.
past which have been like a big body and taunt, and then the downside is they give our opponent things, and they haven't really been played. Hungry Dragon comes to mind, and that other one with the raptors from Ungoro.
But this one actually could serve. Well, the Hungry Dragon had good stats too, but it was for 4.
Cornered Sentry is the one you're thinking of, Eve.
Cornered Sentry, yeah.
Right.
So what they would do is do that, and then immediately Whirlwind or Brawl, hoping that their opponent would lose everything they had on the board, and then like maybe have a 1/1 raptor, if anything, at the end.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the upside of that. This thing has rush, so it can kill one of them immediately.
So I was thinking about.
Yeah, but is that what you want to be doing?
You know how they have. You know how they have the cards that like let you whirlwind the board, and they have Warpath, which we talked about last week, that has Echo for 2 mana. You can whirlwind the board, and Garrosh. Well, this paired up, if you have Garrosh's weapon equipped, is pretty darn good. It gives you a 2/1 card that you can attack that will clear the other 2/1 and clear whatever's on the left of it and lets you take less damage because it does 4 damage on the adjacent stuff if it's got a cleave effect. If they print another cleave weapon, if they also print something where there's a minion that every time you play a minion you whirlwind the board type of an effect happens, now that we are losing Ravaging Ghoul because of Old Gods, I could see that being printed card. Not saying it is. Not saying it will come, but I'm just saying a little bit more predictively, this card is something you want to be on the lookout, like Eve said, with Warrior.
Well, is a 5/8 minion good on turn 5? Is that what you want to do on turn 5? 5/8
minion that can kill something on turn 5 is a removal spell, as far as I'm concerned.
Removal on a stick is what it really is.
Okay.
Well, and honestly, I thought this, and I think this about the next card we're going to talk about too, is I thought to myself, man, it feels like they're making a lot of cards that really kind of make having the Garrosh, the Deathlord Garrosh,
Scourge Lord Garrosh, but yeah.
Scourge, I'm sorry, yeah.
Hero power.
Scourge, the hero power, like really advantageous, not to mention Blood Razor. Turn 4 Blood Razor, turn 5 this. Bada boom. You just hit face and it clears it, and then you only have 1 damage on your guy.
I do like the brawl thing
it's only
you
a
guys
5/7.
talked about. That's
5,
something
7
I hadn't
steps.
considered.
Was that?
I said I like
The
what you
brawl
said about
idea?
the brawl idea. That's something I hadn't considered. It puts 3 more variables statistically that you are like, if they get a 2-1, that's great, and they have 2 chances at it, and I've got a chance at a 5-8. So,
Yeah.
come at me, dude. That's pretty good. It's a little expensive, so that's balanced, but it's an interesting card, and the art's fantastic, dude. Crossbows on your wrist, sign me up. All right, Eve.
Boy.
Red Band Wasp. This
2
art's
mana,
cool.
1/3 beast. It's a rare warrior minion. Rush, +3 attack, wild damaged.
So this is the
So-
new card text for Enraged.
Right.
4/3 for 2, yeah.
And
Four-
so yeah,
4/2 for
they're
3.
leaning hard
4/2 for
on
3.
the we already have a Knights of the Frozen Throne minion that as soon as you summon a minion, it damages it. Like if you have it down already, it damages every minion that
Oh,
you
I actually don't know the name of that card. I'll look it up.
put down after. So you could immediately trigger this without like having a whirlwind effect to throw out or having the weapon that Grant mentioned earlier in hand. That would trigger it right away. It's got enough health. No, it doesn't. It'll just remove something and die. So that's basically what you're using it for, is to remove something immediately.
But to get that health, you have to have some kind that early.
This card
it's
is
gonna be a late
called
game.
Animated Berserker. 1 mana, 1/3. After you play a minion, deal 1 damage to it.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
Animated Berserker could do this for you. And I mean, I've seen Animated Berserkers out there before, and I've just ignored them.
Yeah.
People probably won't once they see what it can do, but it is kind of like, whatever.
We're losing
I'll
a
keep
lot
doing
of
what I'm
good
doing.
1 mana minions, so I can see that being a consideration for Warriors, especially if you're running a tempo build and you're running this. Like, consider this option. Animated Berserker on 1. Your opponent plays something on 1 that doesn't have rush or can't really interact with it. Then you play Red Band Wasp on 2. You can clear literally anything they'll play because we don't have a 2/6 that throws a minion out of your hand anymore. Screw you, Dirty Rat. Stay in Wild. And then you can remove it. And sometimes if you're hitting you can kill 1/3s with this, and now you have a 4/1 after you kill 1/3 with it. So that's something to be considered as well. And secondly, the following turn you can play a Frothing Berserker, and then you can trade off those minions and get a bunch of health or a bunch of attack. So this card, combined with Animated Berserker, like Eve said, and Frothing,
They do seem to be leaning into whirlwind effect cards or things that benefit from damaging your
damage.
own minions.
yeah, and
I wish they
also
would,
even if you don't get the Frothing, you can get like what two cards off of your draw. What's the card?
Oh,
Grant?
you draw as much as your minions are damaged and your face is damaged. that
Battle
kind of
Rage?
thing?
Battle Rage. You can Battle Rage with this.
Yeah.
The other thing too is this is a good tempo warrior and or transition if you want to go more control build to mid game or not control build, mid game build. I'm really
Cool.
hyped for warrior, you guys. Just saying.
I foresee that Rob's going to take the next one.
Oh, this is Godfrey. This is the card I was mega hyped before we even saw the card text, and boy howdy am I excited that it's a good card. So
Yeah.
this is one of the few cards I'm gonna say is like mega strong because I love it and the art is awesome.
Already
so
it's
even
strong.
if it sucks and I'm pulling a full circle Cho'Gall and saying this card's amazing and it's not, I'm because this is hauling back to me saying Cho'Gall's really freaking busted and he was like the weakest card.
I don't think that card was ever played once on
No,
purpose.
not even once. It's a 7 mana warlock minion that has 4 attack and 4 health, which sounds awful, but it does 2 damage to all other minions. And if they die, you repeat the battle cry. So it is a
Defile on a
two-
stick.
2 attack version of, or sorry, 2 health version of Defile that deals damage. And it repeats on death. So it's basically like if you had a spell damage Defile that was permanent.
And the
it
fact that it
doesn't kill
doesn't
one
damage
minion.
itself.
Exactly.
It doesn't do damage to itself, so it could keep going and going and
So
going without
good.
killing itself. Like
I
what?
will say
So
that there is
good.
something really interesting about this is that in Wild, when you're looking at these cards that are high cost for really cool effects, you're really diluting that evolutionary pool and devolve and evolve. And if you're
Yeah,
in standard,
7
you have
mana,
unstable
4/4.
evolution, and it'll be real interesting moving forward.
Yeah,
If you want
this
to play
card's
that
not
way.
living up to battle cry. It needs a battle cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody that plays Evolve Shaman knows that the 7 mana pool is the worst one. And
all
you
I
just
have
want
to
to
say,
keep going past 7.
Is I was thinking about this card and I was like, this is like Reaper from Overwatch. You like play and it's like die, 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 like shooting all over the board. If this thing is the same like powder puff smoke as Defile, that is lazy, Blizzard. This isn't a legendary. Come on. So
no way. Listen,
if this does puffs of smoke, I will be upset.
The cool thing about
plague looking crap
is that he's exactly like the boss in Shadowfang Keep. Like this is so
this is the
true
flavor
to the flavor of the actual guy in World of Warcraft. That's awesome. Like his machine gun thing that like took out entire dungeon groups was insane to fight against, and this is exactly what he does in Hearthstone. So that is really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. I feel pretty good now. We can go on. I'm gonna go back to Eve this time. So Eve, Hunting Mastiff. It's our hunter card.
Actually, you know what? I think it's Grant's turn.
It is my turn.
It is your turn, but I want to give you the hunter card.
Oh,
go,
all
Eve,
right.
go.
All right then. Hunting Mastiff, 2 mana, 2/1 beast, has Echo and Rush. Okay, I like this. I like this a lot. I can play it over and over again, and I can attack with it immediately. I like it.
Black Forest, I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
I don't get the hype on this card, frankly.
It's okay.
Listen, Rob, when it comes to control cards, you are the man, and you know what you're talking about. And when it comes to aggro cards, I know what I'm talking about, and this is good, and it's awesome.
I play a lot of Zoo, but this is pretty underwhelming.
You know what I like about the logic of this card? Is that you know how in aggro you don't want to just like spend your resources from your limited resources in your hand from to clear a board, right? Because then you run out, and then but this card is like, you know what? It's late in the game. I don't want to use my good cards, my cards I'm going to use for face to clear a board. I'm going to use these minions to clear a board, and then I'll save the rest of the stuff for killing you. I think it could be good.
Because with Hunter, exactly as you said, we have like no card draw.
Mm-hmm.
So as you play things, your hand is emptying and emptying and emptying. And this is like, I'm just going to play one card over and over again, get a good value from it, and not empty my entire hand and still have something left for more and more turns later.
All I wanted to say on this card is that what I said, I just didn't really understand and didn't think this card was that exciting. But it is one of the cards that I want to go back on once we have like a month under our belts.
You'd like to be wrong?
Who's right. I would love to be wrong about this card. I would also really like to be right about this card because there's so many people excited about it.
Leok.
So
good point, French toast. Leok value.
Yeah, but that's so much mana.
That's the way late game though.
Like this card is something that doesn't get any value unless you can spend 4. Like at least get if you don't like, that's the thing about Echo cards. If you're not spending the mana cost of 2 of the card that has Echo, you're not even close to breaking even. And on top of that, if you're playing an Echo card that has a mana cost that's above 1 or 2, like 2 is kind of the break-even point for Echo for me.
Yeah,
like
I don't think
you
they'll
really
make any
have to consider stuff above 2. So that's why I think this card's a little bit more on the bubble than the other stuff that we've seen. But I will say that even to concede a little bit to your point, if you're playing an even deck, I guess you could say, playing an even deck, this card's pretty interesting because it does, later in the game, on turn 7 or something, you play like 3 of these to clear the board and get a free 2 damage hero power.
Starving Hyena?
Hyena is the one thing that I was like, this is it. But like,
Hyena.
if you're playing Scavenging Hyena, that's a combo.
Yeah.
So you've got to set up a full combo to do that. Can you do that with Hunter, though? That's the thing, right? So that's...
Sometimes you just really need to remove something.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's like something that is going to get epically more worrisome as it goes on, and you need something with Rush to take it down, and you could do this multiple times and get rid of whatever it is you need to get rid of.
My biggest question mark was, is it enough as a card inclusion? That was the thing. Okay, drew a card, so we can go far as and away as we can from Eve, because this is going to go to Grant.
Eve, Runaway Screaming. Forest Guide, 4 mana, 1/6 rare Druid minion. Reads, at the end of your turn, both players draw a card. This is like Studio It reminds me of like a Mana-Tide Totem.
Dr. Robotnik, or Dr. Eggman from Sonic on the card.
It reminds me of like a bad Mana-Tide Totem. Yeah, it has attack and it has more health, but your opponent gets a card too. You know what I mean? And it costs more.
They get it first, don't they?
Yeah, I've heard a lot. Yeah, because it's the end of your turn. Yeah, so I've heard a lot of negative things about this. Like everyone.
I personally think this card is a whiff.
Bad.
I don't know why they want to give like big butt no attack on the card. At first I thought, well, maybe it's good for aggro, which might be, but I would only think it would be good for aggro if you were like really able to really get a jump on them and it doesn't matter. But then again, if you're giving them cards, you're giving them more possibilities for removing your stuff. So it's kind of like it's not gonna on turn 4. I think I'd rather be doing other things if possible, and
What
not
if
that.
this goes back to our talking about if there are mechanics where you can do things if you have a handful of cards, or if your opponent has a handful of cards, like this is stronger or whatever, like playing back to the other druid cards we were talking about. Do you think they're kind of leaning into a how many cards you have in your hand sort of mechanic? So you're kind of guaranteed next turn, instead of just drawing 1, you're drawing 2. Well, technically, because it's like the end of your turn and then the beginning of your turn, you get 2. So you're going to have a certain amount of cards in your hand, and you can play whatever the combo is going to be off of that. But the downside is, obviously, your opponent gets a card as well. So
let's move on. I will say,
I don't want to talk about this card anymore.
I want you to consider.
It's not exciting.
There's something that came up this week about
Yeah.
the void ripperness of a card. So this is high butt strength for void ripping. All right. Wanted. This is a rogue card. Now, I'm going to go through the card real quick. So Wanted is a 4-mana epic rogue spell that says deal 3 damage to a minion if it kills it, add a coin to your hand. I went on like a tirade of talking about how good this card was, but I was so sleep deprived this week that I was thinking that the if that kills it clause didn't exist. So if I talked with you this week, please keep that in mind. I revert everything I said, and you can listen to this show, and I think this card whiffs.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't. No way would you want to play this card in Rogue. It's just
4
mana for 3 damage.
But
What?
You want to pay attention to this card in Arena. This card could be something that is really good because it's a removal and it's a spell, which is pretty hard to come by in Arena from what we've seen as far as like spells and as a whole. And it could give you a coin, but that's the only thing I have for you. As
I don't know.
far
I
as
disagree with
solid-
In
you
Arena, you don't want to be playing this on 4 in Arena.
All I'm
you want to
saying is I'm trying to
bodies on
far
the
reach
board.
for something on this card.
Stop reaching. This card is a dud.
Stop
it's
it.
okay. Some of them can be
Stop
duds.
You know what? I'm gonna say
Chat, help me up. Back me up, chat.
I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna say this card is fine because nobody else is gonna back up the card. And if I'm right, I look like a god. So we're gonna go.
No. I was agreeing with you, Rob. I think people are discounting how much the coin is worth and how much Rogue wants the coin.
It's the condition that people are giving it a hard time.
Can I get
that
a
hard
witness?
to meet. It is not that hard to meet. Depending on who you're up against, killing something with 3 damage is not that difficult. Especially if you're against a minion heavy deck like Paladin. This is super easy to pull
I'm
off.
just saying that I think this card might have some more things that you can kill or stuff that's going on with combinations that people aren't considering or cards we haven't seen yet in the set. Especially with Rogue, it's been pretty ethereal with stuff that we haven't seen yet. So that's the only disclaimer. All right, we're going back to Grant now. This is a neutral Scale Worm.
All right, Scale Worm. 4 mana, 4/4 neutral, rare minion. So it's total vanilla, except for Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, gain 1 attack and rush. Interesting as far as like the condition to have a dragon. I mean, so a 5/4 removal on a stick, it's okay. We'll see what. It's definitely one of those cards that I think is like an A class card, like A tier card. Not going to make S tier, but good. You know what I mean? Like it certainly would be a card that a newer player could get some good value out of, and a deck if they don't have a huge card base. So I think it's fine. I think having dragons as a condition could be interesting because is this something a dragon deck wants to run? I don't know. Because you don't just arbitrarily run dragons.
What? With an amalgam.
You could run it with an amalgam.
Is Scale Worm a beast?
Yes.
But then you have to have that card in your hand, so it's kind of like we don't want to make one card good if you only have another card.
I mean, if amalgam exists and you playing Arena, that's not bad. I mean, this is a good example, I think, of a card that is good and decent to pick in Arena. That has a benefit if you just happen to have a synergy, not something you're like building your entire deck around. You know what I mean? Like this is something that Arena really hasn't seen.
It's fine. It's a fine card. We can move on though.
Because of MRS, people have been talking about Hunter Dragon Hunter. And
Oh,
that could be a card that you would put
Mm.
in a Dragon Hunter deck. So it's interesting.
Could be. It
We're
could
gonna
be.
watch.
Shall we talk about another beast, Eve, from Mage?
Vexcrow, 4 mana, 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 2-cost minion. It's so cool.
I like this card.
I like it so
Medieval
much.
Light.
Things you want to get out of this? Doomsayer.
Hence, but it's the Raven, so it's consistent with the flavor. That's what was inside Atiesh all this time. Oh, a real crow.
I love it. I think it's really cool. Mages aren't historically a whole lot of minion heavy, minion based. They're usually only things that synergize with their spells. So
this card
not
is
sure if it'll get
scary
play,
in Wild,
but it's cool.
With Secret Mage on turn 5. You can play this. Actually, better yet, turn 4 going second. This is like the dream, right? Vexcrow, Coin, Cabal, Lackey, Secret.
That's a pretty strong
2
board.
2/2s,
on
a 3/3,
turn 5, yeah.
and a 2/1 with a secret on the board. That's
it's
pretty
really
backbreaking.
Good that it's 2-cost minions instead of
Yes.
1-cost minions.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
But that pool includes Doomsayer, so we have to remember
Right.
The
that.
end is coming!
You're like, ah, dang it! I just spent my hand for that.
Yes,
So-
exactly. So I think that's intentional because there has to be one like really, really, really bad downside.
Yeah, like you think. In Wild,
like,
it's probably pretty dope.
Piloted Shredder used
Yeah.
to be. It was like you
Mhm.
could get.
I'm very interested
also get
for
Millhouse
standard
Manslaughter.
implications, though. But I couldn't
Even in
think
standard.
anything past that one scenario in Wild. So I was like, that is the dream, and I want to try that. That sounds fun.
If you get Millhouse, you win.
Millhouse!
Insta concede.
or
Okay, next one.
Lore Walker Cho. Ha, ha, ha. All right, next
Is
one is
Lore Walker
Blackwalled
Cho too?
Pixie. Blackwalled Pixie is a 3 mana, 3/4 neutral minion. Battlecry, refresh your hero power. A Battlecry version of Beardo, discounted as a common. So,
You have to play
I
your hero
like to
power
give
first.
I like
Paladin's
that they're,
Hope.
yes, I like that they're giving you options for the dream in Uther Paladin, right? The OTK Uther Paladin without having burgly bullies to help you get coins to do the OTK. However, this is significantly weaker in that scenario. But the card art for this is so cool. I really want to see this be played.
We have to take that into account. It's pretty.
Anyways, I
Really?
think this card
Okay.
could also have a lot of implications that people may or may not be talking about, which is the odd decks now being able to use their hero power again. So if you play this in Hunter on turn 7, you can blast for 3, Blackwalled Pixie, blast for 6 now. Or you can play this with Mage, where you can deal 2 damage and Blackwalled Pixie and do another 2. You can get 4 1/1s from Paladin. You can, you know what I mean? Like, just double the souped up hero power in odd decks.
It's interesting.
So anyways, food for thought. I don't want to talk about this too much more, so let's go on, shall we?
Yeah. moving on.
Grant, another interesting card. Clockwork.
Ah, the Clockwork Automaton.
Automaton.
No, it's Automaton. Automaton.
Easy for you to say.
Automaton.
Autobots.
It's Automaton. Automaton.
You're so full of it.
Ottoman. Sit on the card.
Automaton.
My college bed. My ottoman. Anyways, moving on. 5 mana, 4/4 neutral, common minion. It's a mech. Double the damage and healing of your hero power. I liked this card. I thought it was pretty cool. Can you imagine getting a buffed up here like Hunter power, dropping this sucker? Because it's while it's on the board, and then like dropping the Blackwalled
6.
Pixie.
It's the same thing.
For 12.
This is pretty durable for being 5 mana and 4/4. That's fine.
It's not bad. And if you
So-
don't see it coming, you're toast. You're in trouble.
Oh my gosh, Grant, back up.
Okay.
This
what?
card and the
Hold on.
No. The priest minion or the priest spell for 3 that lets you summon a copy.
Oh.
Oh, no, never mind. This is double. So
The
does it
nightmare.
double, or does it just double once?
doubles whatever it is.
It should stack. Yeah, it should stack.
Well, because that Velen stacks, and Velen says double, right?
And this is a neutral.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think his
What I've
card's
heard
pretty
the
good.
most is Gul'dan's hero power, which would double the damage of DK Gul'dan.
Oh, you're
And
thinking
then,
Death Knight synergies.
Yes, Death Knight Gul'dan, and then also double what they would get healed. So they'd be healing themselves for, I believe it was 12. They said with this out.
Yeah.
12? Oh, because the healing happens after the damage.
Yes.
Dang, that's oppressive.
Andrew says in chat, like, think Ragnaros shots, double rag shots. Oh gosh,
16
Oh,
damage
Quest Warrior.
rag shots.
Holy.
Nuke Quest Warrior. Oh my gosh. Woo.
Yeah. So the thing that makes me a little bit sad is this does like nothing for the paladin hero power.
I'm sad it
does
doesn't let me
nothing for the rogue
like get
hero
8
power.
armor for
It's
warrior,
like-
dude. That would be gross.
Yeah, right? Like this has no effect on things that don't actually have like a spell damage or a healing number with it.
Yeah, it's
It's
sad.
So
too
souped up
bad.
hero powers and Death Knights are the stuff you want to look at. Let's move on. This card's scary and fun, and man, does this guy look like he's taking a swag walk throughout the city on the card art. All right, Eve,
Swag walk.
take us through the Coffin Crasher.
Oh, I was waiting for Darius, so you can take Coffin.
Oh, you want to do Darius? It's a warrior card, Eve. Darn
Oh,
it. Fine. Fine. I took the shaman cards. You can take that one. All right, it's a Coffin Crasher. It's a 6-mana priest rare minion. Death Rattle. It's a 6/5. Sorry, it's a 6 attack, 5 health. Death Rattle. Summon a Death Rattle minion from your hand.
No.
People are freaking out about this being good in in like Big Priest. While I think this is something that
Obsidian
can
statues.
work with
Summon
Big
an
Priest.
obsidian statue from your hand. That's what we're
Yes.
all joking about this week.
Yeah, exactly. So I really love this card, and I think that this has got a little bit different ideas than maybe Big Priest. I think that this
Yeah,
is something
think
I want our listeners more than anything to look at this card in a little bit more than like what's the first thing that comes to your brain or what's the first 2 things that come to your brain. Like really sit down and like go to your collection and like open up Death Rattle minions and be like, okay, I can get, a Loot Hoarder. I can get a Runic Egg. I can get this. Like these are cards. There's a card called Grave Robber or Grave Digger, I think, that lets you like
Yep.
discover a Death Rattle minion. You can discover this at a higher rate because it's a priest card. You can have the funness that is the inception of this card, like you can with Void Callers in Wild, where it's like Void Caller into Mal'Ganis, or you can have Coffin Crasher to Anumia, the Obsidian statue. It's like lots of like really really cool things that I think that
Deathwing Dragon Lord.
Well, that
Honestly,
card's
this
rotating.
card
Yeah.
is like the high main for priest, but I think it's actually better because it's the same exact stats, right?
Yeah, it's
Except
the
it
high
can
main for
pull
priest,
something
yeah.
busted out of your. Because the thing is that by turn 6, you have a higher probability of having the big fatties in your hand. You know what I mean, you probably.
Andrew in the chat. Andrew is living from Happy Hearts and says, "Other death rattles? By other death rattles, do you mean Obsidian statue Kappa?"
There are no other death rattles. There is
Who
only
needs other death
There is
rattles?
only
Obsidian
there is
statues.
only the statue. All right. All right,
Moving
Eve. Talk about our boy Darius.
Darius Crowley. 5 mana, 4/4 warrior legendary minion. Rush. Whenever this attacks and kills a minion, gain +2/+2. It is confirmed he must survive before he gets the +2/+2 buff. But if he's alive, then he gets it. And also
alive!
if he's killed the minion he attacks. So that's better than Boogie Monster because he can attack right away.
Better
You
than
can
the
have this
Boogie.
planned for there's something there that I can cast him and kill, like prepare it ahead of time so it has enough health that it's going to die, and Crowley's also going to live.
Does Crowley, like, if let's say hypothetically he charges into a 4/4 and he's a 4/4, if he zeroes out but then he kills it, does he then like get 2/2? So then
He
has
has to survive.
He does.
He has to
He
survive.
dies. Okay.
Yeah.
I was a lot less hyped about the card when I found that out, unfortunately.
Yes.
Okay.
But is
Yeah.
it
I
good
was
for 5
really-
mana? Probably. How many removal single target stuff that does 4 damage does Warrior have? None.
I don't know. That late in the game, he's gonna die. Yeah. I don't know. If he was a 4 mana, I think he'd be good.
I think if you want to look at this card, Grant, you need to look at this as like, if Warrior got a 5 mana spell that deals 4 damage, would you play it?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't
They
think
have
I'd
a
li- I
5
don't know.
mana weapon that has 5 attack and 2 durability.
I think it's too slow for the game still. I think it's
What if
'Cause
you
what-
have
what I
like
wanna know is-
a lot of times you're gonna have the Blood Razor up, so that's 6 damage,
maybe
maybe 7
think
if you
the
have the
thing is
Whirlwind up.
current warrior builds, and so I want to see what we have coming up. But current warrior builds doesn't do much up until this point, unless they're armoring up or putting down fairly easy to remove minions. So I don't know. I mean, Paladin doesn't care about this card. A lot. Warlock doesn't care about this card.
I mean, it does save
You know
your
what I mean?
face damage. That's the big thing for me.
Maybe, but
Lots
I
of
mean,
warrior stuff has to deal with like weapons and like dealing damage from themselves rather than like
it feels
a spell.
very, very underwhelming for the. I was expecting warrior cards to be kind of, come on, we're gonna make warrior good again. I don't know. It
Well,
feels
we have
very
hope with the
underwhelming.
rares and the epics and the commons, I think. But yeah,
I could see a world where it's good,
Okay,
but
wait.
I can't see it yet.
Why are you saying that Paladin doesn't care about this? Because if you soften their board with a whirlwind ahead of time and it takes out something and immediately gets bigger and can successfully get bigger, as it kills more and more things, I think it's a threat for an aggro deck, for a small body token deck.
Maybe, but usually, like, it seems like this card doesn't do well against boards that can go wide, and Paladin can go wide. You know what I mean? I don't know
But
that
they've already got tech against wide with all of the whirlwind. That does pretty well against token decks.
You are the Paladin expert here, so I might just defer to you on that one. I'm thinking maybe it's good. I hope it's good because Warrior needs
I
good
think
card.
this card is going to be better than people think now. Like,
It depends on what the meta is, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's something we always have to say is it
Agreed.
depends on what the meta is. But that's where this flourishes, is against a token deck, where it can kill a lot of little things and keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So
yeah, if we have something that allows this card to get some sort of buff or like change with whatever, I'm pretty excited for this. But anyways, Darius is a commander. He's a pretty cool card, so I hope they give more support. We're back to Grant for Emrys.
I get to do Emrys. Hooray. Okay, 10 mana, 8/8 Hunter legendary minion with a dragon tag. Battle cry, double the attack and health of all minions in your hand. So I mean, that's like PogChamp good in the sense of what it does. But
so King Crush
in
is
Hunter,
what, a 16/16?
Yeah, but in
That's right.
Hunter, yeah, it
It has
is.
to be
But
in
in
your
Hunter,
hand.
what do you have in your hand at that point in time? You know what I mean?
That's why this is so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
When does Hunter
know.
ever have cards in their hand on turn 10?
When does Hunter have 10
The only
mana
time
to
I
play?
can think of is like if you have Rockdalar and you fill it with spells, but that doesn't work with this
No.
card. So a 10 mana 8/8 dragon. I mean, so unless there's some way of like getting minions into your hand,
Okay,
like
so Rexar,
replenishing it. So.
the
Rexar.
Death Hunter. The
Okay.
Death Hunter who is like making little
Stone
minions
Tusk
and putting
Boar?
them into his hand
With
Yeah, but when you're
something?
playing
with
Rexar,
his Zombeast.
I don't know if you guys. I've been playing a lot of Rexar Hunter the last day or so.
Mhm.
By the time you get to Rexar, he's one of the last few cards in your hands, and you get the one beast at a time. You're trying to pump it out,
Right,
try and keep
right.
up with whoever you're playing against. So it's in terms of how the games tend to go, it would be cool, but because the battle cry only happens once, so yay, at 8 for 10, that
Why is
kind of
this
didn't do anything.
Hunter?
I don't know.
Why is
Yeah.
this Hunter?
Hunter.
It's so cool.
Because it would be really busted in Priest, and it would be really busted in Warlock, and it would be really busted in any deck that tends to get
Can
big
you
hands
imagine
through it.
if you got this with like on a Grommash, like landed on Grommash and Warrior, dude? That'd be
Oh,
so
gosh.
sick. Be so
That would be
sick,
gross.
dude. 8
Yeah.
8 attack plus the enrage of +5. That'd be so
It'd be 13.
gross.
Maybe a
That's
13.
so
It's
sick.
possible.
Gosh.
It's possible that they tried this with a lower health minion and a less mana minion, and it was broken.
Well, it's possible they tried it in different classes too,
Oh
and they
my
were like,
gosh,
no.
Grant, you can get this off Face Collector for Rogue.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
That's a 6. That would be like a 6/8
Rogue might be able to do something
for
with it. But that's super edge case. That's
it's
super,
super
like
edge case, but Rogue
it's a
loves
trolling
doing that
case, is
stuff.
what it is.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
trolling all day.
It's gonna be on trolling.
Come
Mhm.
on, come on.
I
Channel
honestly,
your
I
inner
think
fun player.
until
Your Timmy's.
until
Where
we
my Timmy's
see
at?
what until we see what they're gonna give us for like hunter cards, so maybe there is something they're gonna give us that helps us like maintain a hand.
Yeah.
This card in
Okay,
my
so-
mind is I'm gonna put it on the bubble. So
If
Yeah.
we're going to suddenly think of Hunter as a dragon hunter archetype that might be able to exist, dragon archetypes work with something that you have in your hand. So Emrys is going to sit in your hand and you're not going to play them until turn 10, and it's just going to sit there triggering all your, if you have a dragon in your hand, things.
It's a card
it's
I
not
want to discover, but not
that
a card I
bad.
want to include, I think. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I think if it's
Yep.
a good enough card to discover for sure, I think. But maybe again it's the hunter thing. All right, Eve, you got Ravencaller.
Ravencaller, 3 mana, 2/1, neutral common minion, battle cry, add 2 random 1-cost minions to your hand. So this could be anything. It says 2 random 1-cost minions, so it could be anything.
Could be good. I think this card could be good.
Could this
3
also
mana,
include class cards from other classes?
But 3 mana is super steep for that.
Oh, snap. If you look at the card's art, it's like he's got like a crow wing cape, and under him he's got like little eyes. That's so cool. Sorry.
He's like a Medivh wannabe. He wanted to be Medivh.
It's Goblin Medivh.
He's like, little goblin. Honey, what are you going to be for Halloween? I'm going to be Medivh. You know.
I mean, people are saying this is the card that Quest Hunter wants, but it's like, I mean, personally, I think it's too weak.
Well, it's adding them to your hand as well, right? So we're still going, minions are going into your hand, making your hand bigger, which might help
you have to play
Hunter,
them for the
which might help Druid. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see this for the Druid thing. That's the first I've heard of that, Eve. That's a good idea. Because the Druid's got that hand thing where you're like refilling and reloading.
Yeah.
The thing for me, though, is that why can't you just make... Is this card that powerful to print as a 2/2?
Well, a lot of 1-cost minions have battle cries, right? And so when they're just put on the board, it's like, But if it goes into your hand, at least you're going to be able to properly plan out and get the most out of them. So
I don't know. I think I like the card. I love the design. I just feel like, why can't we just have this as a 2/2? You know? I feel like this card is fine as a 2/2. The 2/1 really makes me not motivated to try it.
Want to play that.
Yeah.
But if it's in Druid, they do have a lot of things that buff. So there's that.
Sound the bells, Paladins. It's a 2-mana spell
ding.
that it's common. It is an Echo card. Give a minion +1/+2. So it's like your Divine Spirit card, but you can do
Paladin
it again.
Quest lives.
And again, and again, and again.
You
and
instantly
Lanessa
do this on turn
and
10.
my man Galvadon loves playing this card.
So,
Grant?
how does this interact with Lanessa? Like, so if I echo it 4 times, does Lanessa get it 4 times?
I believe that's true because it's how many times you've played something.
Yes.
And that would be pretty sweet.
As is the quest. So this is pretty interesting because it might not be the greatest thing, but you don't have to include more than 1. I think this is a really weird card. You could just play 1. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
are you going to spend an entire turn using this?
It's a 31st card in that type of deck, though, at least at the moment. There's a lot of other stuff that you could put in it.
Yes, but the thing about this card, I think, is the power that you can get for just having 1 rather than running 2. That's something that I haven't really talked too much about with Echo cards. If you're playing an Echo card, you don't have to run 2 of them. You can just
the reason you run 2 is so that you draw
so I said 31st
right?
card.
Like, that's why. It's not so you can use it twice. It's because you want to draw it from your deck.
Caught you
and
on
if
the
you have
technicality.
The 32nd card versus 31st.
You have a higher possibility of drawing it. That's why you put 2 in your deck, not so you can have the effect twice.
Well, the thing about Echo cards, Eve, is you want to have them in your hand so you can play them later. You don't want to play them early. So drawing 1 of them later on is better if you run 1 rather than running 2 because you don't want necessarily the consistency of this. Even if Lanessa hits the board before you draw this, that's fine. You just pump it out a bazillion times in your top deck war on your Lanessa or another card, which is arguably better. And
Chat said Vorax would benefit from this card. I didn't think about that.
Vorax could be really funny with this card.
Yeah, it could be decent.
All right. We're back to Grant. Cheap shot.
Cheap shot. 2 mana, rogue spell. Echo. Deal 2 damage to minion. Now, this is a card I like. I like this card. 2 mana to do 2 damage is good. What's the Jade Shuriken does that, except it doesn't give you a body. But
you can do it over and over and over again.
You can do it over and over and over again.
Fine.
This card's fine. Yeah, I think it has a lot of potential. Like what we were just saying, it could be a good one of in a rogue spell type deck for just as later game removal.
You can also compare this to Shiv.
Early game removal. It'd be fine. Yeah, it could be good. Doesn't draw you a card, but the Echo is kind of the play there.
So use it again. This is one of the rare Echo cards that is like
Shiv can also go face.
Yeah,
but
this cannot.
The Shiv is like a comparable card, not like
yeah.
So the thing about Echo cards too that's really interesting is like it's kind of like something can do vanilla things, but you can do it a bunch of times. That's kind of how you want to look at Echo. It's like Echo's like, oh, this is a vanilla body or vanilla damage or a vanilla X, but you can just do it a bunch of times, and you don't have to like use a ton of cards. You just use one. So that's this card. Like you can do 2 damage for 2. Great. You can just do it a bunch more times. Echo cards are going to be really interesting for Arena. I really like it.
In the late game, it feels better because it's not like, oh, great, I get to do 2 damage once. With Echo, it's like, okay, I'm able to do this over and over and over again because I have a ton of mana, and so this card isn't like completely weak and useless at this stage of the game.
Yeah. The fact that it can only do damage to a minion is good because of spell damage. It's like that would be ridiculous with Malygros. So
Malygros.
All right, Eve, do you mind if I take the next warrior one so I can be upset on my soapbox for a little bit? Okay.
Baby Rage.
Baby Rage Rab. No Rob champs here. 7 mana, legendary warrior minion that has 3 attack and 8 health. The card text reads, can't attack. Whenever this minion takes damage, deal 3 damage to a random enemy and cry yourself to sleep because you like playing warrior. The card art for this is absolutely fantastic. If you want to compare this to anything, please go look at a card from Blackrock Mountain that is 2 attack, 5 health, and it's called Axe Flinger. Because that's basically what this card is, but it can do damage to other things besides face. And
Ship's Cannon,
way
man.
more expansive. Well, maybe more expensive. It has a bigger body. And if you silence it, it's like, why? But I think this is a card that has less inherent value with the deck building vision and more of you really hope when you play Rotface you get this. Because like if you're playing Rotface, you want to damage the Rotface and get another legendary, and if you're damaging Rotface and this, you're getting a bonus out of it. Is this better out of Rotface than Ysera? Probably not, but it gives you something else that benefits from your game plan. Playing this for 7 mana really sucks, and even recruiting this isn't ideal because you're still not able to get anything from it. Yeah, however, as we've been stating with Eve and I harping on Whirlwind effects and damaging and enrage.
Exactly. This works well with that. This goes along with the entire Whirlwind thing.
The problem is it doesn't do enough for me.
Knife Juggler is scary, and he does 1 damage every time you make a minion. You hit this and it does 3. Yes, you have a point there. But this guy does 3. Like, throwing
So
them
if
out
I want to do
everywhere.
2 more damage, it's going to cost me over triple? That seems balanced, Kaparos.
Yeah, but imagine if Knife Juggler had 8 health. What would you think of him then? Like,
if he can't attack, I think he's a piece of crap. He's just a tower shooting guns that's like, that's funny. If I don't get close to the tower, I don't get shot. That's basically what this is. It's a defense that doesn't actually have taunt. If this had taunt, I'd consider it.
It reminds you know what it reminds me of was wall cards and Magic.
Yes, Magic the Gathering.
It reminds me a lot of a wall card.
Taunt, Maurice. Listen to the logic.
But we don't want this to have taunt.
Oh, it would be so busted if it had taunt.
Because you want to damage it yourself as many times as you can to get the most value out of it instead of it getting killed in like 2 hits. You want to get like
if this goes off twice, I'm happy.
Yeah, this card's a hard whiff, I think. I don't
Sun Fury Protector is my only hope with this card. Sun Fury Protector.
Well, I mean, you know what though? Ship's Cannon is a thing, and Ship Cannon is busted. But the problem is, the cool thing about Ship's Cannon is it's 2 mana, and you can do a bunch of other stuff with it to guarantee some kind of value.
And it can attack.
With this, you play it, and they're like, "Oh, nope, not leaving that there. See ya. Good day, mate."
The downside is the mana cost, but I don't think the attack really matters because it's like it's attacking every time it takes damage because it's doing 3.
If I was King Julian, I would be out in the forest and be like,
Maurice, it's just a bunch of pansies. It doesn't do anything.
Okay, let's move on then.
Lady in White. Let's give it to the lady.
6 mana, 5/5 priest. So this is their legendary minion, or one of them. Battle cry, cast Inner Fire on every minion in your deck. Inner Fire is set attack equal to health. What? And also 6 mana 5/5 is early and cheap for the body and the effect.
This card's good. This card has a lot of potential.
Now this is one of those ones that definitely is going to break your brain, where you're going,
in Wild, it's gonna be gross. Like think Death Rattle Quest Priest in Wild is gross with this because it's in your deck, right? So like Death Lords, a 2/8 are now 8/8 for 3.
I am gonna say though,
Bacon.
but it
this
happens
makes
after turn 6.
Anduin's
So
Death Knight.
you
This
start
makes
dropping
Anduin's Death Knight
multiple
a lot
threats that
better
are
though.
huge. Oh my gosh.
You think about all the things that are hard to remove because they have 4 attack and 12 health. Ysera, now it's a 12/12, and you're like, Anduin, it's gone.
Malygos
just play around
Your
it.
entire board is
12 with
gone.
5 spell
You just
damage.
play around it. But here's the thing. It is every card in your deck up to this point. So Anduin can only do it one time. So if you play around it, it's so what? Okay,
I
well,
will
I got
say,
that out
like,
of the way. Next
you
thing.
have to have a
you know?
lot of cards that benefit from this that are good before the card hits, and you can't draw a crap ton of cards because it's only going to get the stuff in your deck. So you need to be aware of this because personally, this card is extremely powerful, but I think it's a bit overhyped because of that condition of it being in the deck.
Oh yeah.
It means that you have to
Obsidian
draw
statues.
a lot of
Oh.
cards after it's in your deck, not when it's in your hand. It's not going to be as exacerbated as the recruit issue with Warrior and running a bunch of expensive minions and hoping they get buffed because this helps lower cost stuff be valuable in the late game. It helps your Northshire clerics be 3/3. But again, you can't play that out of the gate. It's not an aggro card. It's a wait until turn 6 or later and play this. So I still think the
such a
card
scary
is
card.
a bit overhyped.
It
but...
can't be overhyped. It cannot be overhyped.
Okay, so this is episode 135. If the card's overhyped, you know where to find me. All right, let's go. Grant, Cursed Castaway.
Cursed Castaway. 6 mana, 5/3, rogue,
Fetch!
rare, pirate,
Scabbard.
Bitch, Miss Scabbard. Ye, you scurvy sea waif. Okay. Rush. Death Rattle. Draw a combo card for your deck. I liked this card. I thought it was sweet. Because it's removal on a stick. 5/3 for the most part, right?
6 is a lot of mana.
Can take out a lot. Yes, it is. But it also can get your Vilespine Slayers and other delicious combo cards out of your deck. If you short suit yourself, as we say, like, and you make it to where you have certain combo cards, you could do the thing where we guarantee it. So it's basically tutoring out something. And that could be really good.
Cursed
Yeah,
Castaway
it
has
is.
a hat that has 2 eyeballs on both sides of the trifold cap, and it kind of looks like a shark head. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think the card has potential. I don't know that it'll see a ton of play, but I think
That's
with Rogue,
6 mana.
anything is possible. I mean, really, anything is possible.
Yeah, this card
So.
is 6. Being 6 is significant. If this was 5, like, you got to think about something like this effect as
gross
it
as
loses 1 mana per time is like exponentially powerful. So they had to do a lot of work in the back room, cutting room floor to make sure this card was balanced, I think.
Yeah.
Because of that effect being super strong.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
rush
Time
on
out.
a 5
Chat,
attack.
calm
when-
down. Just because I say something is underhyped and have an opinion, God bless you guys. Calm down. We're on the next card. Let's go.
Let's go on.
All right, Chameleos, Eve.
Okay, I love this. This is so fun. This is the other legendary minion for Priest. It's a 1 mana 1/1. Each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a card your opponent is holding. And this is what I said when I first saw it was I would just hold this the entire game. I would keep it in my mulligan and just love getting all the information of what was in my opponent's hand. It just seems so valuable to me and such a thing that, like, in Magic the Gathering, they have certain cards that allow you to look at the cards of your opponent's hand and things like that. And it's really cool. I like that they made this card. The design is really interesting. And then you can get it. Like, if you get to a turn where, oh my gosh, this is a great card, I'm going to feel it and play it. But I would like it just for the information every single turn.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's actually it's a good card.
I will say this about Chameleos, that their experiments with the little guy from what's the 1 mana
Shifter Xeris?
Shifter Xeris. Their experiments with Xeris on this card was pretty intriguing to know, like, what they're capable of doing with Xeris. It's a pretty cool effect. Besides
Like the
Echo,
tech behind what the
besides
card
their
can do.
research and making an effect or a new keyword like Echo, and even pairing that with Rush, and then printing Chameleos on this like set, this is probably the most unique card we've seen.
This can come out of those give you the 1/1s in your hand cards too.
Right. Like this
Right.
card is like, it's so interesting. It's like you can't put your finger on anything besides like, I need to craft this and play with it. You know what I mean? Like that's like what this card screams to a lot of players.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are on Reddit saying this card's good or this card's bad. But like,
No.
you know, there's a
Let me
You're
legend
either
say
a
this.
normal
that's-
person
it's
or
really
a Redditor.
cool.
A pro
Got
is
it.
going to tell you having information about your opponent's hand is huge. If they're
Yeah.
sitting there trying to bluff you, trying to pretend they have something, they've been
This takes
holding
hand
on to
reading to a
something.
whole nother level.
Like
Mhm.
especially for me against Mage, whether or not that card they have in their hand is another ice block,
Yeah.
right? Might change how I play more aggressively or less aggressively. Do they have a huge board clear sitting in their hand, especially against people that only have 1 or 2 cards in their hand? It could be amazing. It's a priest card, so yeah, I wish I had it in Paladin, obviously.
Also, not only does
or
it give
a
you
more
more
aggressive deck, but
more information, Eve, if you're running this in a like even a mid-range matchup or a control matchup where you're playing control, this could give you a tool on top of information. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
you would
You
sacrifice
could get a void
the
lord
information.
out of this, right?
Yes. But at that point, you're sacrificing the fact of whether or not you get more information from them. So for me, that would be a hard choice to make. Can I continue to like see into their hand and know what they have, or do I take this moment to take that card and play it?
Right.
Because the next turn it's going to be another card, and you're
This
going
is
to
a
lose the
very
opportunity.
ambitious card to
So-
make, and I really like it. So thank you, Blizzard, for
Yeah.
making this. This card's really, really cool.
Next one.
Next one, Duskhaven Hunter. We're back to a Worgen card, guys. It is a female Worgen with 3 mana, 2 attack, and 5 health. With stealth, each turn this is in your hand, swap its attack and its health. So it could be a 2/5 with stealth for 3, or it could be a 5/2 with stealth for 3.
This is only the second Worgen like switchy card we've seen, huh? I was
This is
hoping
the
there'd be a lot
pumpkin-
more.
Pumpkin guy, right?
Yeah, since a pumpkin peasant.
This card's good.
I like this
I like
card
it.
a lot.
I like this card a lot too.
I want
I-
more, but I suspect this is going to be like maybe the only other one.
I like
It's
the
carry-on
Worgen
grub
cards
that
so
can't be
much.
targeted, so you can use it. Boom.
Grant, I was thinking about this today. Worgen cards that are like, 4 mana and under are really, really interesting with mulligan strats. You know what I mean? Like if you're not planning for like turn 1 or turn 2, but you're planning for like maybe even just turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. If you're planning and you're mulligan and you like draw stuff, this is really, really cool. Sorry for those of you on the stream. This card on the site that I pulled it from was really blurry, so the card on the stream looks kind of bad. But and I also couldn't get a good art on the Worgen either. But the Worgen form looks very cool.
Oh yeah, the Worgen looks better.
So anyways,
this card is everything you want in a hunter card in a lot of ways, because stealth makes
Agreed.
it to where it can't be targeted, and don't underestimate that. So if you're just trying to push face damage, that and then Houndmaster next turn, and you have a 7/4 that can't be targeted, so you're going to get that 7 damage, or you can make it a 4/7 with taunt to slow down them pesky paladins. You know what I mean?
and it gives you options if you want to run an odd
Whoa,
only
you can't.
hunter.
This is not a beast. You cannot Houndmaster.
Oh, that's
this.
right.
Yeah, you
Never
can't
mind.
Houndmaster it though.
Okay.
My bad.
Good catch.
But I still think the stealth makes it really good to like not get targeted right away.
Absolutely. Stealth is
Because
very powerful.
I think it's a better like Jungle Panther or Carrion Grub because of stealth.
Okay,
So a
Toxmonger, Grant.
little power creep there. Toxmonger, moving on. Yeah, sorry, chat. Didn't mean to sound stupid, and all our listeners, that's my bad. I could read a little better next time. Toxmonger, 4 mana, 2/4 hunter, epic minion. Whenever you play a minion that costs 1, give it poisonous. I don't know.
4 mana.
4 mana is a lot. I mean, it's cool what it does. I don't know. I think
Oh.
it's just a little on the slow side.
For what it's worth, Grant, I forgot to mention this to you guys in the pre-show. I've
Mhm.
heard you can play this with Elven Archer and it kills stuff.
Oh yeah, because it does damage.
but
And
like
Stone Tusk Boar.
Yeah, but that's still you're
that
basically
is so
making
weird though, because
5 mana
the
for
battle cry
removal.
should go off before. Is that confirmed, Rob?
I think it is confirmed. I can't tell you who confirmed it, but I was reading some posts really quickly this morning. So if you guys think that this is
we were
incorrect,
talking about
please let us
this.
know.
Oh, battle
We were
because battle
talking-
cry
yeah.
happens before it hits the board.
Yeah, we were talking about the
Mhm.
like the synergy with which is going to go first. Is something with Battlecry going to do its Battlecry and then get the poisonous or not? And I'm not positive about that because
Well,
that does make a bit of a
This
difference.
does say whenever, not after.
The first thing I thought of was the Hunter Quest because you're playing like a whole bunch of one cost minions in order to
Okay,
get
Mike
the
Danae
quest off.
confirmed this on Reddit that it does work.
Okay,
Oh, it does.
that's weird.
Thank you, French
Why
Toast
would-
in the chat. Appreciate that. This is why I
Yes.
wanted to
Okay.
start doing live shows, for what it's worth.
Look it up for us. No, yeah, that's
He said it's
That's
good with
interesting
Elven
how-
Archer. Yeah, okay.
because it does say whenever you play a minion. So the whenever things happen.
It's static on the
First,
board,
and
it's
then the
anytime
battle
something
cries.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The key word here is whenever, is from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Instead of after you play a minion.
Is it
because
still
then-
4 mana? Yes.
Should we tandem the next two cards because they're kind of awesome?
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead, go.
I'll mention them and then you guys can discuss them. Sound good?
Yes.
Witching Hour. The best card art. Oh my gosh. This card in
Pretty.
golden, even if it sucks, I might still be crafting because it's just so cool.
It reminded me of Majora's Mask.
The Blood Moon
Mhm.
in
Descending on-
Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Witching Hour, rare 3-mana druid spell. Summon a random friendly beast that died this game. And the next one is the card that you want to summon. It is a 5-mana neutral beast minion that is a rare. Has 3 attack and 12 health.
That's so ridiculous.
1, 2.
12 health.
Juichi in Japanese. Folks, this is taunt.
Juichi.
It has Battle Cry, lose 1 health for each card in your hand.
In your opponent's
in your
hand.
opponent's hand. And it has been confirmed that this card is like a Twilight Drake where when it loses quote-unquote health, it becomes green health. It does not become damaged. So the max health for it will then be how many cards your opponent has in its hand and reduced and played, right? So if your opponent has 5 cards in hand, you lose 5 out of 12, which makes it 7. So it will say 3 attack, 7 green health, which means it cannot go
Interesting.
above 7 unless you silence it.
If you silence it,
Or
it
it
becomes
dies
12
and
health.
you summon back, right?
Yes, unless it's silenced or recruited or resummoned. Those are your 3 factors.
Which brings us back to the witching hour.
Wow.
You could stack
Because-
your deck to where you only have awesome beasts like this and
Master Oakheart, ladies and gentlemen.
just do what Priest has been doing for the last year and a half, you know?
3 mana is pretty cheap
Yeah.
for a resurrect.
Master
That's what I wanna be
Oakheart.
playing.
Master
Oakheart
Oakheart.
because it has 3 attack.
Poggers!
But isn't
I
Master
have Master
Oakheart
Oakheart.
about mana? Master Oakheart is about mana cost, right?
Master Oakheart is
No,
about attack.
attack,
1, 2,
attack.
and 3.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
But the saving value is that it's just a
Hadronox.
late mid game oh gosh, Hadronox and Grizzly and bacon. Woo!
Oh,
Yeah.
bacon is right.
No.
I'm borrowing that phrase from you, Rob. That's okay.
That's
I heard
fine.
you say it. the
I
other
don't
day, and
I
was
don't mind as long as you don't steal my bacon. I don't care.
Druid does not need more taunt. Okay? Druid is like the taunt class.
The
Boyd
Druid soapbox,
Ripper
we
Druid.
found it, ladies and gentlemen. We found it.
like, jackpot.
Oh, why?
Eve, you
But
want to know
why,
what's best
though?
about this card? It's a
Yeah,
neutral. It's a neutral.
That is what's best about this card. That's true. That is such true.
Witchwood Grizzly is neutral. Oh, joy.
You know, honestly,
People were like, "I'm sorry, guys, it's not a druid card. It's actually a neutral," and everybody's like, "What? Nani?"
hey,
No,
this
see,
card
this is
with
worse
Void Rippers and
because
Hunter.
Oh my
it's
God.
really good as taunt
Mm.
against aggro, right? And aggro is the ones that are dumping their hand every turn. So
yes.
I hate
Hello, mid range. I love mid range decks.
Dude, late game. Oh,
12,
Like
12 with
12,
Lady in
12
White.
with
That's
Lady in
right.
White.
And
Yeah.
if it gets if it loses its health with the battle cry, that means it still has 12 attack when it hits the board.
This card is gonna get nerfed like crazy. They're gonna nerf the crap out of that thing.
This card is so good with odd decks too. Oh my gosh.
They're,
Yeah.
they're gonna. Oh wait, that's a rogue card only. Sorry, our bad.
Also,
a whole bunch of people thought Witchwood Grizzly was Druid, and I did at first as well, which is
Witchwood Grizzly and Ring the Bells.
Bears are just like a Druid thing, right? So I think we all sort of leaned into that. But yeah. It's a neutral.
Remember, you can play this on turn 5 and turn 6. You can play Ring the Bells 3 times, and this gets +3/+6. And then it's a 6, 18. That's pretty gross. And if you silence it, it's like, I get more value out of it because it's 12.
Yeah.
Feels
and
good,
the reason this is good is because you can do a lot of other shenanigans with other things, and you put this down later on in the game. It's like, let's see here. Let's see. I want to stop you from killing me and draw cards, so I'll play this plus nourish, and we're good. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of goodness that comes out of this card.
Void Ripper.
Why do people hate me? Why do you want me to cry?
Why do people hate me?
Eve, the world doesn't revolve around you, and we don't all hate you. And we don't want you to just lose games.
All right,
but
guys.
Aggro Paladin has had its day in the sun, and you have capitalized majestically.
Oh well. I will find a way. I will find a way. There will be a way.
With your 2 silence cards.
I will say that this makes transformation something that you're gonna want to keep an eye out for. Polymorphs, hexes, potion of polymorph, and siphon souls are also freaking good against this card. So gotta keep that in
Why
mind.
do they think that you guys need more taunt? Honestly, there's like 1 aggro deck right now. Like
Time out,
and everything else is control. Why?
Eve, guess what? There are 90 more cards coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, more taunt.
19,
probably.
not 19. 90.
Is now a good time to craft Black Knight again?
I still have my golden one.
Like
I still have mine.
Every expansion, people say Black Knight back.
Black Knight.
And it
Tank
never
Master over Spark, boys. Thank you for that, Mad Gamer. That was the best laugh I've had of the day. We're gonna fix this by saying adieu and afitase because we have to finish up the show. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the live stream. We've had a static 10 plus today. It's been great. If you guys like the show, you can support us by going to iTunes, which I actually have not 1, not even 2. We have 3. We have 4 iTunes reviews this week. And I'd like to thank B. Rocco for 7 from the U.S. saying, finally hit Legend in January, and I feel like this podcast was a huge help of making it possible. Keep up the great work. Best Hearthstone podcast from Slyjacks of Canada, Eve's land, of the polite
My
and
land.
the A and the maple syrup.
Yeah.
And this is a great podcast for anybody who likes Hearthstone with card reveal season here.
The
It's now a
polite
great
and the A.
and the maple syrup. And here is now a great time to start listening. P.S. I got an 80 gold quest. If anybody wants, so here's my tag.
Battle tag.
One of the best. Ye Old Mole from USA. Oh, Mole. Yeah, Ye Old Mole. Both entertaining and informative. This is one of the best Hearthstone podcasts out there. Wow, high praise. I look forward to it every week, especially Eve's lore segments. All of you keep up the great work. I just wish it was a bit longer. ... In parentheses, don't rush it, Rod. Don't rush it. Our shows are like 2 hours, dog. Give me a break.
Rob has to talk fast for a reason, or else we'd be here till the cows come home.
How many podcasts you got time for, Sucko? There's a lot.
You must have a long commute. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
it's fine. It's fine. I'm just giving a hard time. But thank you so much for the iTunes reviews. One of the best Hearthstone podcasts packed with content. This is from Maximum Carnage, Mark of the Beast 666. Velen's Chosen is essentially covers everything Hearthstone related, from the meta decks, game tips, all the way to the lore. The lore sets of the podcast. The lore sets the podcast aside from its peers because it gives it a level of completeness that other Hearthstone podcasts don't really have.
Oh, thank you.
That was very well
So
written. Thank you for that. And I would like to direct your attention to the irony that is your name with on basically a holy Velen priestly podcast with having Maximum Carnage 666 like high praise the show.
Well, it takes all kinds.
So thank you for that. If you guys want to support us, please head over to iTunes.com and log into your iTunes account. If you don't have one, you can still leave it. You just make a new account and log in through the web client. I believe you can still leave iTunes reviews that way. Additionally, if you want to support us monetarily, like cup of coffee a month, couple cups of coffee a month, $2 to $5, whatever you'd like to do is usually good. We got
Starbucks
some
cup of
perks
coffee a month.
on Velen's Chosen podcast Patreon page. So patreon.com/Velen's Chosen. That's going to do it for the show. Again, I am backtracking very quickly through these cards. We have Chameleos, Lady in White, Black Howl, Gunspire. We might have to revisit these legendaries after the set launches and try to pick and choose some of these legendaries. Luckily, we were able to cover quite a few of them with Gen and Darius Crowley the previous weeks. And a little bit of Godfrey. Kind of dipped our toe into a little bit of his backstory as well when we talked about the Worgen.
And I could probably cover him in a little more depth.
But yeah, a lot of these are actually pretty new faces to the lore scene, like Houndmaster Shaw and Glinda Crowskin. These are Witchwood exclusives. So
I'm still hoping for a couple more dragons. If
All right.
Amherst has some friends, that would be sweet. Maybe cheaper friends. Maybe friends that weren't 10 mana.
yeah. So that being said, where the dragons be at, you got to check the Lore Master Eve out on Twitter. Eve, where can people find you other than Lore Master Eve on the Twitterverse?
I started trying to Twitch to stream on
All right,
Twitch
we'll see you
a
guys
little
next
bit.
week.
But I have a lot of things going on right now. My kids have been home for a while now because it's spring break, but they're going to be going back to school. And then when they're back in school, I will have more free time. But they have been home for 2 weeks now, and that has been eating up a lot of my time. But I'd like to get into streaming a little bit and get my feet wet to get some practice, having people like watch me play and get past the nervousness and the stress that I feel when I know other people are watching. So I am on Twitch at Eve Martin, and as Rob said, on Twitter at Lore Master Eve.
Grant.
If you wish to find me, you can find me at WatchmanHS on Twitter. If you want to friend me in game, friend me at Watchman #1140. Enjoy interacting with all of you. It's cool being part of this community. And Rob, where can people find you if they so dare?
You can find me on Twitter with the tag Not Rob, as well as Instagram. I will try to be posting some more now that it's Sakura season and my in-laws are coming. We're going to be going to Hiroshima and Iwakuni for some really cool photos. So you can see some stuff there. It is beautiful weather now, finally. And additionally, if you guys want to find me, I also do another podcast about Overwatch. It's called Omnic Lab. We actually had our game night last night, and boy howdy was it the biggest yet. I thought we were going to have a little bit of a lower turnout because it was Easter weekend. We had not 1 or 2 or even 3 lobbies that were full. To give you an idea, it's 6v6 in Overwatch. So we had about 15 people on average per lobby, and we had 3 of them full, and we had another one that started. So I think we had about 50 people max at any given time just on PC. And we had the biggest PS4 turnout we've ever had with people that were playing well into the wee hours of the morning around 4 a.m. Central Time. And yeah, I think we had over 100 concurrent people. So it was a lot of fun. If you guys like Overwatch, please jump in and play for a little bit. Meet the community. It's great. Quick note, I forgot to mention this last week, but we are now streaming on Twitch. If you guys are new, we don't have a whole lot of followers, so I have to say it here on the podcasting space. Please hit us up on Velen's Chosen Podcast is our Twitch handle. So twitch.tv/Velen's Chosen Podcast. And leave us a follow. It helps us out. And maybe you can see when the live streams go up. Additionally, for those of you who are unaware, I am actually uploading this to our YouTube page, which has a hyperlink in the description. It's really hard to find right now because we don't have 100 subs. If you have the time and you have a Google Plus account that's linked to YouTube, you can leave us a sub, and if we hit 100, I can actually have a unique URL for our show, and we can have it be youtube.com/Velen's Chosen. So please head over to YouTube, watch live streams if you like. If you don't, that's fine. You can leave us a like, you can leave us a comment. We'll read those, and you can hit the sub button and maybe help us out a little bit. So appreciate that. I think that's going to do it for us. If you guys want to see what I've been up to, I'm actually like watching a lot of Critical Role Dungeons and Dragons with Scott Mercer, and I found out that the entire crew of people that do Scott Mercer's Dungeons and Dragons are actually all Hearthstone voice actors.
Oh my gosh.
Dope.
So
That's
there's a guy
amazing.
that does Reno Jackson. Scott Mercer is the voice of Ragnaros and Aluneth. And he has a one-shot, actually, that if you want to go look it up on Critical Role's YouTube page, you can see they did a Kobolds and Catacombs one-shot D&D experiment, which is really cool. They actually fight King Togwaggle and a bunch of kobolds. It's very, very neat. So I had a lot of fun doing that. But I really appreciate all of you who showed up in the chat. I think that's going to do it for us this week. And
it's made it really interesting and interactive having people to talk to while we're doing the show.
Yes, and it's been hopping. Not only do we have 10 people in the chat, but nobody ain't lurking today. So remember, not all who wander are lost. And if you show up to
who launder,
not all who launder are warm. We'll see you guys next week. Don't watch out for those Worgen bites because they give more than they take.
McCree, see, how'd that go? I'm gonna cast magic missile.
I can't find the outro music.
Somebody said McCree D&D. That's why I said that in the chat. Made me laugh.
Oh, French Toast is referring to Matt Mercer as the voice of McCree as well.
Yeah, I know.
Not all who launder are washed.
Not all who launder are washed.
Get your puns in quick before this intro or this.
Oh, I can't top that. I'm out. See ya. Peace out, nerds. You still listening?
That's a good one. That is good.
B-side of the episode is called that.
I'm gonna name the next episode that.
Okay.
Not all who wander.
You just have to. It's too good not to. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording here.
Oh yeah.
Stab. See. 35. See.
I foresaw this.
It wasn't too bad, right? How long was that?
Did I miss it? Bye, guys.
That was just 2 hours, pretty much.
I need to stop the episode. Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.